right. Hello there. Going live right now. Welcome to MixStream, a brand new episode of MixStream. Let's see what's going on, what's happening around here. And hang on a second. Let me turn on my camera so that you guys can see me. Hi, if you are watching this right now, please don't be shy. There's a live chat there, right? Do say hi. Let me know that you are watching this in, let me know that you're watching, man. And let me know also where you are watching this from, okay? Right. In the meantime, sit back, relax. Let's just wait for, for more folks to come on board. And we'll start real soon, okay? Let's see. Let me just quickly do a quick share on my Facebook as well. How are you folks doing? Say hi, good. Is everyone doing okay? If you are there in the chat, please say hi. Okay, if you're watching this right now, do say hi, and so that I know that you're there. Otherwise, I don't know whether you're there or not. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna make a quick share of the post. Let me just quickly share this out on my own Facebook. Share it to the default audience. Yeah, okay, right. Pasting it. Hey guys, and if you are listening to this, let me know how's the audio, right? How's the balance between my voice and the music? If it's good, please, let me know. Say audio is good in the chat. And we've got a few folks in the chat already. Hi. We have Amanda Sinto says hi, Amanda. Amanda, where are you from? Thanks for tuning in and joining in this episode of MixStream. We have Jude Anthony. Okay, all right. You see, I'm looking at my laptop over here, and then with the camera like right in my eyes, it makes it a little bit hard. Jude Anthony says hello. Hi Jude, thank you for tuning in and watching this episode of MixStream, man. Right, audio is good. And hey, my good friend Zechariah Henry. Good to see you again, man. Alright, hope you're doing fine. Well, Zechariah, by the way, for those of you who are watching, right, as one of the patrons of the channel, all right, so thank you very much, a big shout out and thank you, right, because with the patrons out there, they help to support, right, the channel financially and creating of content such as, these the bi-weekly live streams, the weekly update videos that I put out, and got lots more videos on my channel. If you have time, okay, we'll go and check it out, all right, so thank you, a big shout out Zechariah, okay. Right, and Amanda says from KK, hi, hello, big shout out, man, right, to all of everyone who's tuning and watching this over there. So what we will do is we will just sit back, hang tight for maybe about 15-20 minutes. We'll wait for some people to come on board. In the meantime, right, sit back and relax, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or Milo panas or just good plain old water, right? Grab a chair, grab a pair of headphones, right? I recommend that you listen to this on a good set of either earphones or headphones, or even better, if you have a good pair of monitor speakers, if you have a little home studio setup, listen from that, okay? All right? Because we're going to be covering because we're going to be mixing a song. If you're watching this only on a phone or a mobile device, you're not going to hear things, you're not going to be able to enjoy and hear the maximum benefit, okay? Alright, and Amanda is from KK. Jude Anthony, where are you from? Okay? Alright, so we'll wait a little while. Of course, the running joke, we usually only start when we get 10,000 concurrent viewers. So we got a long way to go. Alright. So sit back, relax. In the meantime, what you are listening to, right, is the music of the song that we are working on tonight. This week's featured artist is, his name is Engelbert, or Bert for short, okay? So this is a project that was written and produced by Sylvester, aka I think he goes by his professional stage name of Deco Sly, okay? And Zechariah had it, and Zechariah also told me that he had a little bit of hand in the prepping of the audio files of the multi-tracks for this. So awesome work, man. Yeah, awesome. And there we go. Deco Sly is here from Borneo Clefe, and hi JD Sylvester here. Welcome, man. Thanks for joining in. Okay. All right. Awesome work. How's the audio? Hope that you guys can hear my voice and also the music. Okay. So sit back and relax. Usually we'll give about 15-20 minutes because, well, Malaysian timing. I will start sharp at 9 p.m. but usually we gotta wait 15-20 minutes for people to come on board lah. Right? Granted nowadays pun, right, there's so much other stuff going on, a lot of other content is going on. I know that there's a singer-songwriter showcase that goes on in Clubhouse and different platforms and all of that. So it's good. Actually, it's good, But I appreciate if you are tuning into this, okay? Let me just do a quick share. Go grab a glass of water. And hey, who else is there in the chat? Jude Anthony is from Numbulanka, Sabah. Shout out to everyone out there in Numbulanka, man. And we have Verus, Sasuke, Joe, Sylvester. Mana masuk. All right. Verus, Sasuke, Joe, where are you from? Kamu dari mana ya? Okay, let's wait a little while for more folks to come in on board. Let's see. All right. It's so weird. Now only I get the notification from YouTube, even though it's like 8 minutes really past 9. So chill, sit back and relax, okay? Okay. Don't go anywhere, right? I will be back in a second. Let me just go and grab my water. Verus also says that also from Numbulanka. So hey, Jude and Verus, you guys know each other, How far is Numbulanka from KK? Okay, I'm back. Right, just took a little drink. I think what I'm going to do is I will monitor the chat from my phone because it's easier to see here, right? Instead of looking at my laptop screen, which is on over the corner. Hey, concurrent viewers, 9. Let's wait for more, man. And Jude Anthony says, yes, we know each other very well. Haha. Are you guys all friends of Sylvester? Friends with Bert, with the artist? And you guys also do you guys all play music? Numbulanka KK is about 2 hours driving distance. Okay, cool. That's very cool, man. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. I miss KK, man. I have not been back to KK in so long. I think the last time back to KK also 20. I can't remember, man. 2015, 2016. So it's a long time. And always when kita pergi, it's always for work or for a show. So it's always, we never get to hang out. We always go there on a Saturday, show, Sunday dah balik already. We never get a chance to really hang out and go around and visit. So hopefully after everyone, after all COVID is over, we want to get back there, man. I want to go and visit Sabah and Abuan and everything, right? And hey, someone that I know, long time no see. Pedro's Lister. The Lister says, "Hi bro JD, I'm Lister bro." Hello Lister, right? A little bit of a family reunion here. How are you doing lah? Okay. I'm sure you all would know Lister is right. Lotter from AF's brother, and these guys are amazing. They had an amazing band called the Divine Masters, and wow, yeah, I think it's quite a long time ago, kan? These guys flew down to KL and they recorded, and I have produced their album. Super talented band, amazing songs, okay, that you guys recorded and you guys makes. I really betul enjoyed. One of these days, it's really one of my most memorable projects that I worked on. I remember that I think we spent almost 1 month, kan? You guys flew down to KL, and then every day we would come to the studio, we would record, and everything, right? But sayang lah, I mean, for that time, I think the Malaysian market is still not ready for you guys, because the sound that you guys did, you guys combine, elements of new metal, of like Linkin Park, of very modern bands, but you guys did it in both Bahasa Malaysia, you also did it in Bahasa Dusun. So yeah, check it out, man, right? Dude, you should really put the song out. Tell Lotte, kadang-kadang your brother Lotte, sometimes we still message each other from time to time. We will chat about some stuff, or you ask me some things. But I miss you guys, man. Alright, cool. It's getting emotional here. Right, okay. Email, yes, supporting Bert. Okay, yes. Deco Sly, hi JD Sylvester here. Yep, I saw you already. Okay, awesome work. Okay, on this. 9:15. Let's give another 7 minutes more. We'll start sharp at 9:20 lah. Okay, let's wait for a little bit more people to come on board. Mr. says, long time no see, bro. How are you? Okay, I'm fine, thank you. Of course, man. I masih ingat, man. Right, I remember. Okay. And Sylvester, you guys are cousins, right? You and Lotte and Lister, right? So, memang saudara lah, related lah, kan? Right, and let's see. Jude says, we are part of the TS Music family. I wrote the lyrics of this song, actually. Awesome, man! So, we got a full production team of the song here. So, hey, for those who are watching, what I'll do, actually, I should add on the video description later. I'll put all the credits of everyone involved, okay? Because at the moment I only put one list, which is the TS Music. I'll put the credits there. But folks, it goes to show that actually when you talk about music production, it's not like that there is just that one person who has to do everything from the composing, the writing, and all that. It's all about doing it together as a team, If you look at all the successful music industries, not only local, but if you look at overseas, US, Korea, all these are actually based on teamwork. It's not everyone has to do it themselves, because everyone has got different set of skills. Some people are better at songwriting, some people are better at lyric writing. Musicians will have their set of skills and their talents. Some people are good at graphic design and video, some people are good at marketing and promotion. So it's a matter of getting a team together, right? So don't think that you have to do everything gonna struggle and you're gonna do by yourself. Always reach out, connect, network with people, right? Find friends who are around you, right? if it's cool, you guys are all local, within Sabah, so that's awesome. That's great. And even sometimes you can even reach out to maybe different people from outside of Sabah as well, lah. Right? But awesome, man. Okay, cool. Great job. Great job. Okay, alright. Mr. says, Jaco, love to work with you again. Pretty talented producer. Okay, man. Yeah, thank you very much. As I always say that, our work, my work as a producer and engineer is only as good as the talent that I work with, right? Because as much as kita boleh use our production skills or tips or tricks or whatever technique kan, the song has to be good. Kena ada lagu yang bagus. Melody has to be strong, have a good chorus, very strong hook. Arrangement kena bagus, musician kena bagus, and then last your recording and the penyanyi pun kena bagus, kena bagi delivery yang very very meaningful. Everything from the lyrics has to be good, right? So for me, I don't take the credit, right? Credit needs to go to everyone, because when the song goes out, right, on radio or on streaming nowadays, ini semua hasil a team. Ini memang semua teamwork lah, right? Kita tak boleh bergantung kepada satu-satu orang saja untuk to ensure the quality of the product lah. So it is a teamwork, okay? Right, so I've been talking for quite a lot. Alright, so guys, we'll start in 3 minutes, okay? Or maybe 2.5 minutes. And everyone sit back, relax. Grab a pair of headphones, or if you have speakers, that will be good. So I'll do later on is usually all these early parts we will chop it out, or maybe I'll keep it in, man. Right? Maybe I'll just keep it in. Sometimes I keep the front parts out, but we had a good chat, so I'll keep it in, right? So yeah, 2 minutes. We'll start sharp 9:20, and minum air dulu, yeah, okay. Anybody needs to go to washroom, go ahead first, okay? I'll see you guys back in a minute, okay? Hey folks, hi everyone. Okay, just gonna let the song play until the end, and then we'll stop, and then I will officially start the live stream lah. Okay, so sit tight, hang there. We will start in just about under a minute. Okay, don't go anywhere. Back in about a minute. All right. Hi. Hello there, and welcome to MixStream episode 28. Right. We are live right now, and firstly, a big shout out to all the patrons who help to support the channel financially. And if you are new to this channel, if you're watching this live stream, you're new to my YouTube channel for the first time, right? Do head on down and click and become a subscriber. Don't forget to click also on the notification bell so that you'll be updated every time I put out a new video, okay? So MixStream is the main program that I have on my YouTube channel and the entire MixStream online community. I try to do this maybe once every 2 weeks, but sometimes it depends on the schedule lah. And then now, because of MCO, because of the PKP, a lot of things with the schedule is gone very, very messy lah. Okay, so please do click on the subscribe button, become a subscriber today, okay? And also, all right, I want to hang on a second. Brain short circuit a little bit. Okay, yeah. So I want to mention also, okay, there is a live chat going on. If you are watching this live right now, okay, on Friday 25th of June, there's a live chat going on. Just in case you don't know, okay, go to the live chat there. If you're watching this, please do say hi in the live chat, okay? Let me know that you are watching this. A lot of folks are in here already. Okay, we've got, so many people. We have the producer, we have the lyric writer of the song, okay? Sylvester, aka Deco Sly, right? We have Jude Anthony, who is the lyricist. We have also, right, some old friends of mine as well, okay? Lister is from the band, the Divine Masters, who I used to produce and recorded their album long time ago, okay? Awesome. Big shout out. Thank you so much, folks, for joining in, right, in this episode. I do a lot of stuff on my channel. If you have time, do check it out as well, okay? Folks, there's one thing I want to quickly point out, okay? Because of MCO, because of whole COVID-19, industry music ni memang affected dengan teruk lah, right? We are so very badly affected. Live music is not, right? It has been dead for more than a year and a half. Gigs, concerts, events, musicians cannot tour, musicians cannot perform. Right, you want to rely on streaming also very, very hard. You want to rely on online, online shows and all that. That's also very, very hard, okay? All right, so we have to find out ways to try and support each other lah. So this idea of doing this MixStream and the MixStream community is just one part to try and help, okay? So, kita selalu, we always listen to our favorite songs on radio or streaming or wherever we listen to our songs. But most of the people don't know all the work, the kerja-kerja that goes on behind the scenes in the creation. You have the songwriter, the lyric writer, the music arranger, the producer, all the musicians, the recording session, the engineer, right? There's so many people involved in creating the songs that we love, okay? And so much work that goes into it lah. So what I wanted to do with the MixStream, this little live stream here, is just to showcase a short little portion of the whole process, which is the mixing process. So it goes just to show you a little bit of the work that goes into the creation of the songs that we love, okay? So this hopefully for those who are watching this later on, members of the public, okay, not only do I get to showcase the feature artists, but I also, right, you also hopefully they akan dapat appreciate, okay, lagu-lagu, right, hasil-hasil karya yang kita buat, just by looking at the process, right. Benda ni bukan senang, okay. Kerja, right, production work memang makan masa yang lama. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of blood, sweat and tears, okay. So hopefully, right, this helps people, right, to gain a little bit more appreciation lah. And if you want to support, if you're watching this and if you want to support the featured artist, what you do is, right, you check it out. It's up there in the code, in the text there. You head on down to the website called, right, you head on down to my Patreon website, which is www.patreon.com/studio2105. You can sign up to become a patron, right? You have their different membership tiers that you can check it out. So the subscription starts at 1 month, right? You can just subscribe for 1 month, and after 1 month, right, you can always cancel your subscription. But hopefully, right, you can continue supporting lah. It's as low as $1 a month, which is right 4 ringgit je, 4 ringgit, okay? So what is special is that if you're watching this, right, and if you sign up to become a patron, 50% of all the revenue, all right, that comes in, right, via the patron is gonna go towards the featured artists, right? It's gonna go towards them if you want to support the artists, if you want to support the production team behind it. And how you do so is that you need to, right, drop me a message, okay, and use with the code MixStream28, MixStream 28, so that I know, okay, that if you are subscribing, if you're becoming a patron, right, that you are doing it in support of the featured artists, okay? Now, info of the featured artists, I've left it all. We are featuring, right, and let's get down, right? Enough about me and myself. Let's talk about the featured artists, okay? And the featured artist this week, okay, is Engelbert, who hails all the way from Keningau in Sabah, okay? Right, awesome folk. Right, I've worked on a lot of projects, and that's from Sabah musicians and Sabah artists. Awesome, you guys are super talented, man. You know, I know it's a cliche, but I don't know whether I'm sure you've heard it, right? I'm always envious and jealous. You guys have got that talent in music and singing and everything, which is naturally in your blood, man. Okay, so amazing work. This song, I really love this song. So right, that's why we are going to be featuring this song. Okay, the title is Numbalanku, right? Featuring the artist Engelbert. And without further ado, let's get into it, okay? In the meantime, if you got anything to say in the chat, please do so. I'll look at the chat from time to time. But let's get down to it lah, okay? Right, so this is the debut single from Engelbert. So what do we do? What's the first thing that we start, all right? First thing, always look at the big picture. Let's go and do a frame. Let's frame the entire song. And how do I do that? We do it by putting up a rough mix of the song first. So all of these things, right, the preparation work, I already done before this, right? 1 or 2 days before, memang semua ni dah prep lah, dah prepare, okay? In part of the mixing work, a lot of it is preparing your routing, right, organizing your templates, your groups, what are the effects that you're going to be using. So you can see, right, we've got drums here, it's color-coded. Right, I like to call this the tropical buah-buahan tempatan color scheme. Okay, right. So you have your drums, you've got a bass, piano, and organ, acoustic guitar, electric guitars, right? So strings and also vocals, okay. So in terms of arrangement, this is your classic pop rock instrumentation, right? Drums, bass, piano, guitars, and some string arrangements. So let's kita start by just listening to a rough mix. This is a rough balance of the song, okay? So we want to identify the structure. You want to hear, okay, this section, apa benda needs to be highlighted, what needs to be highlighted. At this point in time, there is no EQ, there's no compression. Okay, there's a little bit here and there. I'll show you later where lah, okay? Right, but basically there's nothing done. This is memang a raw, rough mix, okay? So let's take a quick listen to the rough mix of the song first. And here we go. Intro. You got an organ, piano behind that also. First verse. Ikan opo ipomu sarahanku penggong pihiti ginawaku amilo tunaga. Okay, still in the first verse, second half, drums come in. Gompionku dati tupusku nogi sontok nawayaan to lumansano kuda may da kopi iso kito. Okay, right. Good build up of the dynamics.
Numbalanku dan pompolanmu.
Backing vocal.
Suang di Keningauku. Pingaratiku dan ngawi. Song purorin nalong titukusku. Nawonku dapikan. Onggomonku titukusku.
Some nice little guitar effects here and there. Verse 2. Lead guitar fills. Solo. Harmonize. Modulation to a new key. And also more BBs. Is the ending repeat chorus? All right, awesome. Very, very nice. Okay, all right. So this one itself, just looking at the song and just listening to the rough mix arrangement, there's a lot of great lessons you can take, all right, based on music arrangement. Okay, so we got a lot of good examples of how you build dynamics using the music arrangement, where the parts come in, where the double parts additional come in, all the additional guitar layers, fills, right? That could be a whole other video and another whole workshop topic based on the arrangement itself lah. Okay, so but that's a topic for another time lah. Okay, maybe Sly Sylvester, maybe you can explain right on another video how you did this. Okay, so let's go down to the mix. Okay, so this is a rough mix. So first things first, first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that I want to set the correct initial levels. Okay, why setting level is important? Because you want to always make sure gain structure is correct. You want to make sure that in the end when you finish with the mix, your mix is not going to be clipping your master and not distorting. All right. And at the same time, you also don't want your mix, your audio level to be too low, it's too soft. And later when you master the track and when it's put out, all the noise level comes up also. So you got to find the right sweet spot lah, okay? Now, so there are no rules to how you set this particular initial level, but I found it very, very useful for me, okay, at least personally for me, to set the level by referring to the kick drum. I use the kick drum as a reference. So, right, let's take a look. This is the kick drum track, and let me open up the mix console that you can see. So what I am going to be targeting, what I'm going to be aiming for is so that my kick drum is going to be peaking at minus 12 dBFS. Okay, right. So let me just play the kick drum, solo the kick drum first, and let me just get the right level. Okay, so here we go. Let me bring the mic down a little bit lower because it blocks the screen. All right, okay, cool. So let me just play kick drum. Okay, let's see, and I think I'm pretty much there already. Alright, okay. Now let me bring the master volume window over so that you guys can see it. Okay, here. So look at this here. Alright, I want my kick drum to peak at about minus 12. So let me play. So see, it's about minus 12. Yep, so it peaks at about that. Alright, perfect. Okay, right, because I already said all this beforehand lah, right? Okay, so it goes to a little bit of minus 11.9, that's fine lah, okay? So this minus 12 is just a target value. Now, there's no right or wrong, as I said. You want to set it higher, you want to aim for minus 10, also can, that's fine. You want to aim it for lower and a minus 14, that's also fine. The only reason why I use the kick drum as a reference is so that once I know that I've set this level, later on, everything else, right, the snare, the hi-hat, the overheads, all the other instruments, the vocal, I akan balance relative, right, to that kick drum level, okay? So I know I already set that as the level standard lah, right? So here we go. So that's a kick drum. Okay, one thing is that these drums, right, are programmed, okay? So they're using Slate Digital, 7 Slate drums, okay, the sample library that I've had, you know, and so it's very, very sounding awesome. A lot of these sample drum libraries, right, VST libraries, already sound very good at the start. So there's very little that I actually need to do, okay? I'm not going to be doing any sort of compression on it, but I may just drop a little limiter. So let me just start. Let's start with kick drum, okay? Right. So just want to EQ a little bit, a tiny bit, just to take out a little bit of the right boxy boom. All right. Maybe about that 107. Yep, so a bit of boxiness at about 450. Just scoop that out. Not much, okay? Just a little bit, okay? Now, so I mentioned that I don't put any compression. I don't like to compress any of the drums, but I will sometimes use some limiting. So this is called a little clipper from Boss Audio Labs, but you can find any other limiter as well. Even a stock limiter in your DAW will also work. So what I'm gonna just do this just to clip the very, very top of the kick drum, okay? Just a little bit, and you can see. Oh, that's a bit too much because you can hear it a bit crunchy. When it's too much, you hear it, okay? Let me show you. Okay, not only hear that it's being sucked a little bit slower, it sounds a little bit crunchy because there's a bit of distortion going on, right? So yeah, there you go. Full, right? Full transients, and we just want to clip the top end a little bit. That's it. Okay. Itu saja, simple. Okay, now let's go with the next thing, snare drum, right? So here we go. Let's bring in the snare drum. Again, the snare drum already sounds really, really, really good. I don't think I need to do anything to this, man. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. Later on, because there's some ghost notes, maybe I will need to bring the ghost notes up, but we'll see how it sounds in the context of the whole mix, okay? But that's it. You don't need that much. Now I'm gonna skip hi-hat. I'm gonna skip the toms. I always like to bring in overheads first, and the reason is because, right, overheads actually give you the overall drum sound. Let's solo the overhead. There we go. Those are your overheads, okay? So I would prefer to always get the overall drum sound from the overhead first, then only start to fill in the rest of the stuff. For me, it's a much more, to me, it gels better. But again, there's no right or wrong. Different folks have different ways of approaching drum mixing, okay? So here we go. Let's have the kick and snare. Let's blend in the overhead. Nice. And so let's time to bring in the room. Okay, room mics. So let's solo room mics. This is how the room mics will sound like. Okay, as you can hear, these are a little bit further away. Room mics, I will EQ a bit. Let's take out all the bottom end. We don't really need all. I don't really want all the bottom. And I also don't want too much of the top end. Let's change the filter to something more gentle, 6 dB per octave. So it's a gentler curve instead of a sharp curve, right? Check it out, okay? I think all your filters, right, in your DAW, you should be able to change the shape and the curve of the filter. And so, like in the case of Cubase, if I right-click, see, filter slope, 6 dB, 12, 24, all the way to 48. So 48 per dB octave, you can see this is very steep. Very steep. That's not what I want, okay? I want something a little bit more gentle. So let's go with the 6 dB per octave, okay? Okay, so this just gently, rolls off a bit of the high end from the room microphones lah. So let's blend it in again. So immediately, the room mics are very important, man. Immediately gives you the sense of the size of the drum set. It's like, oh, it sounds like it's been recorded in a nice big studio, okay? Right? So that's how it sounds. Let's just leave it at that. Let's keep it a little bit simple. Let's put in the hi-hat. Hi-hats are only happening, I think, in the... Yeah, it's happening here versus and here. Let's check it out. Now, there's a lot of hi-hat already in the overhead and the room mic, so this isn't really doing much. It's just there to fill it in a little bit. But let me just go to the ending part where it goes into the open hi-hat, right? Where it gets a bit more aggressive. Let's check it out. See. Honestly, even without it, it's fine. Okay, so but what this is going to do is just going to help to localize the hi-hat a little bit better in the stereo field. What do I mean by localize? Okay, now inside the overhead of the room, you can hear it is a stereo, kan? You can hear, okay, it's nice, it's wide, it's big, it's got a front and back depth to it. But with a closed mic, right, if you have an additional mic on the hi-hat, you can help to localize the hi-hat better, so you can pinpoint the location of where the hi-hat sounds like in your stereo field. So this is what the hi-hat mic is going to do. It's not really there for volume, because volume-wise, you can hear the hi-hat really clearly already, even in the overheads in the room, okay? This is just to help to localize it a bit. And again, you hear this better if you are listening on headphones or monitor speakers, okay? Right. Just a little bit. Oops, I accidentally pressed it. 16.5. What happened to my decimal number? There we go. Yeah. Nice. Very good. Okay, let's go to toms. Okay, let's go to toms. So let's go and find a section where there's lots of toms going. So maybe here, this little tom roll. So let's start with hang on a second. Okay, right. See whether this is important. I got a message from family. Oh, okay, it's nothing important. No worries. They usually know not to message or call me during when I'm doing the live stream lah. Okay, let's go with Tom 1 first of all. Tom 1. Let's go for the first Tom. Let's listen to it. Let's solo. Okay. Oh, the Tom group is muted. Let's unmute that. Okay. Okay, round. Now with the programmed drums, okay, because with the drum sample libraries like this, usually they've already really checked it's recorded. All right, in all the samples have all been recorded in professional studios with the best drummers and the best equipment, the best mics and mic pre's and all that. So they usually have already checked. But if you are recording live drums on your own, and then you are mixing them later on down the line, always a good habit to always check for the phase. So what do I mean by that is that you need to check the phase of the tom mics, of any of these close mics, right, against your overheads, right, your overhead microphones, because if it's out of phase, your sound will sound thin, you know, they will get some comb filtering, it sounds, you know, you don't get the body lah, right? That's what happens when something is out of phase. So let's just do a habit, let's just make it a good habit to just check with the overheads. Okay, so I solo the tom, solo the overhead, let's listen. Okay, so let's flip there, let's invert the polarity, let's see whether it goes thinner. Let invert. Again. Okay. Very subtle, but you see the original polarity without the polarity invert is a little bit fatter. You get a little bit more of the low end and the low mids. Okay, so which shows that when they recorded it, they really took care of the polarity and checked it really well, right? Just a good habit to check lah, okay? Because sometimes that's all you need to do. Flip the polarity, then suddenly everything becomes nice, fat and big already. So let's solo the toms again. Really nothing much needs to be done. I'll just high pass a little bit. Because it's so well recorded, the samples are so well done, it's really not much needs to be done. Not much of EQ needs to be done to it lah. So let's set it at the -15. Let's do the same thing, okay, for tom 2. Check with the overheads. Okay, so okay, let's flip. Very subtle. Somehow, I actually kind of prefer this with the polarity inverted. So let's just set it, right? I somehow prefer that. Maybe sometimes there's a nice type of cancellation that's going on. So let's just leave that, okay? So let's high pass again. Okay, with the bigger toms, the floor toms, you get a bit more of the resonance. Okay, I want to hear, I got this. Tung, 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 around this. About 420, 430, 440 hertz. Let's cut that out. Let's EQ that. Yeah, that's it, right? That's all that it needs. Last but not least, let's check out the tom 3, which is the floor tom. Let's check it out. Okay, original sounds best. Okay, the original, so don't need to flip the polarity. But this one, I feel that it might need a bit of help on the low end. Okay, so let's EQ first. It's got a bit of a nasally tone at 590 hertz, so let's get rid of that. A bit of a tong sampa kind of a sound. At about 300, let's cut that out. And I feel it probably needs a bit of help on the bottom end, so let's give it a bit of. There we go, just a little bit. Okay, that's about 67, 68 hertz lah. So let's get out of the solo and let's balance it. Okay. Okay, it sounds a little bit roomy now, right? Maybe a bit too roomy, but again, we are listening to the whole drums only without the context of the rest of the instrument. So we set and we don't forget, we just set it first and then only we move on, right? Let's move on, see how everything else fits before, right, settling on decision. the mix is going to change, right? How the relationship between all the parts and all the balances is going to change the more you add things inside it. Once you add all the bass, the piano, the guitar, the vocals, suddenly it feels that, oh, all that roominess, ngam ngam mula, it feels like it's just nice already. Okay, it could be just that. Now when you listen to just the drums alone, it sounds like, wow, that's a lot, right? But right, all we need to do is let's just add it down. Okay, let me check. Let's go with the live chat. Okay, I'll answer your questions later on. Okay, right? So awesome, man. Okay, let's go now. Let's move on to bass. So bass. Here, let me just point out very, very quickly. I've already said all this beforehand. All right. I am using what we call, right, tape, all right, machine, and also analog console emulation plugins. So this is very common nowadays because pretty much everyone, right, works digitally inside the box. We call it ITB mixing. We mix ITB in the box, everything inside a digital digital environment. So digital environment is very clinical. It's very precise. It's very, very clean. So sometimes what we want, some of our favorite records that we listen to, right, some of the best selling and most successful, right, albums in the past century, a lot of the hit songs are still recorded and mixed on, right, analog consoles nowadays. So we want to try and bring and inject a little. Internet is not working well today, is it? Okay, all right. OBS connection is better. Hey folks, how's the connection? Hi, hello everyone. Tadi it was the internet a little bit laggy just now, because now it seems to be back to be okay. How's the connection, everyone? Connection okay, Zechariah says, okay. Yeah, because on my end just now, it was not showing any data on the stream. Okay, cool. Right. So, I was talking about, right, using tape and also console emulation. So very quickly, I would just want to show you what I'm doing here. So on every track, I have inserted, right, a couple of plugins here. Let me show you. So the first one I have is called Virtual Tape Machines. So this is actually emulating the sound of an analog tape machine, right? Usually we have, the either the 16 or the 24 track, the 2-inch tape reels. This is basically emulating as if the channel was recorded onto a tape, and now we are playing back from it, lah. So it gives you a little bit of that analog tape saturation. It gives, it fattens things up a little bit, because that's the characteristic of tape, right? It helps to smoothen out a little bit of the top and the high frequencies as well. So let's see. Yeah, just now, yeah, Jude also said he was buffering here, but now okay. Yep. TS Music Chef, okay. Yakin Saja, connection okay. All right, cool. All right, good. We're back in business, right? So something was going on just now with the internet connection on my side. Okay, all right. Where are we? So yeah. So first thing was the virtual tape machines, and the second thing that I have, okay, is what we call the virtual channel. So this is emulating the analog signal path, right? Is the signal path going through an analog console. So right, there are different emulations. You have, for example, here Brit 4K-E, 4K-G. This is the SSL 4000. You have the SSL 4000E and the 4000G. So I've set it to the 4000G. US API, British Neve. You have Trident. You have the RC Tube, right? So I've been experimenting lately and going on with the SSL 4000G sound. So before that, I've always been using the API because that's what I like. But somehow, as I said, I think musical taste is a developing thing. Even as you progress in your career, sometimes you change, your style changes, your taste different. So I've been using API all this while, but recently I've been switching over to the 4000 SSL 4000 setting on the virtual channel. So hey, right, maybe, right, I sort of kind of like the way it sounds, right? It's not as clean. The API is very, very clean, very, very smooth, right? The 4000 gives a little bit of a bump, all right, slight bump to it, but Anyway, that's just a small little bit of information that I just wanted to share with you lah. Okay, and then after this goes into the FG73. Now this is an emulation of the NIF 1073 preamp. So right, just a quick recap. So using these plugins, it's as if I'm running the audio through from an analog tape machine, going into a channel of a analog console, and then finally right to a preamp lah, right? A good quality, right, class A, super high end preamp. Okay, so here we go. So this is going to be across all the channels, so I don't really need to explain lah. So let's go with the bass. So bass, right? Let's do this. Super simple. Now, so this is let's play. Right, just balance it. So the bass is, even though it's only one track, I have actually routed it to my bass group. Okay. Right, so let's see. This is going to be, it's going to come out from this group here, group channel. All the blue faders, those are all the group channels. Okay, so let's listen to it. Okay, hang on a second. Ooh, why are my toms like yeah, okay, because I was messing around with the overall level just now. That's why. Okay, never mind. Here we go. Let's go with the bass. Let's blend the bass. Right, so this bass is also a programmed bass. All right, so there's some benefits to it. When it's a programmed bass, usually, right, dynamics wise is very consistent, very stable, which is a good thing. But sometimes it makes it a little bit too clean, so I'm gonna want to inject a little bit of life into it lah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to run it into a amp simulator, and what I'm gonna do is I'll pull up the under plugin alliance, the Ampeg B15. So B15 is, right, it's a combo amp, right? The B15, they call it the flip top. Actually, the full name is called the Portaflex lah, B15. So this is a, they call it the most widely recorded bass amp in the world, and for a good reason. Okay, so I'm gonna go with solid bass, and let's see. Okay, right, this will add a little bit of dirtiness to the sound lah, right? So let's try. Okay, volume level of course is louder, so we need to compensate. Right, so running into an amp sim. Let's go to somewhere a little bit more busier. Bypass. So nice, it's a very clean sound, but just gives it a little bit of that growl, a bit of the mid-range dirt. A little bit of that, okay? Right? Because you want to get a little bit of dirtiness, because with program stuff, right, it's so perfect, it's so clean, right? But now we want to just add a little bit of dirt into it lah. Nice, okay, right. Okay, so cool. Now, so this is the bass channel. As I said, this is routed into a group. So let me just quickly show you what I have in the group. So the first thing I have in the bass group, right, is Waves C4. This is a multi-band compressor. Right, so it's a multi-band because it's split into 4 different bands. You got low, mid, high, okay, right. As you can see, there's 4 different bands here. As you can see, 4 different sets of controls. But we're only going to be using the lowest, the very first band. The rest are all in bypass mode. So what this is doing is that this is just going to be compressing only the low frequencies. And here we're talking about, right, usually I set this to about 180 hertz and below lah. So this is just going to control the low frequency, the real lows that's coming from the bass, and so that it doesn't jump too much lah, right? So this is basically what it's doing. Okay, the reason why I have this compressor here is so that later on down the line, when I run it through another compressor that follows after this, it won't force the other compressors to work too hard. Okay, so basically that's what it is. Let's keep all the ultra low frequencies in control. So let's go. So you can see. Maybe let's solo that. Okay. Okay. And let me just solo this frequency range for you. It's to talk to let you hear what I mean. So this is all. This is everything that's 180 below. So it's just controlling that, okay? And it's going to leave everything above that untouched. Yeah. So it just evens out all that low end, okay? All right, cool. Now, next thing in the chain, I'm going to show you. This is called Surfer EQ2 Boogie, right? It's by the company called Sound Radix. This is the Focusrite edition, and what the Focusrite edition means that if you own any Focusrite product, if I'm not mistaken, you log into your account. Right, you go to the Focusrite website, log into your account. There should be a user area where you can actually download this for free. Okay, now the Surfer EQ, right, it's a very, very, very powerful. It's a very, very smart. It's a very, very intelligent EQ, because what it does is that it can track the frequencies. We can track the frequency content, right, of the audio that you're feeding it in real time. Okay, so let me just show you. I want you to pay attention to this little yellow box here. Okay, is it yellow or green? Right, it kind of looks like yellowish green lah. Okay, so it's this little band here. Okay, so on, right, this is the one. So pay attention to that while the bass and see what it does. It's going to track every single note of the bass, right, in real time. Okay, let's see. G, F sharp, D, 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 E. See, so it's tracking the note. Right, so this makes it very, very, very powerful, right? Because it means that it can always center the EQ on the particular frequency that you want it to act. Okay, because the traditional EQ, right, you just set a particular frequency and it affects the frequency around that range. This one you can very pinpoint. You can pinpoint the exact frequency you want, and you will jump and it will boost or cut accordingly. Okay. But what I'm going to do this is a little bit different. Not only can you target, right? Not only can it surf, right, according to the root note or the fundamental frequency, you can also go right on harmonics above it. So let me show you, right? Let me click on this and drag this. You see the 1.0? Let me put it up. So when it's at 2, this is an octave above, 131 hertz. Okay, if you can see here. So let's say, for example, this note is C, 66 hertz, right? When you times 2, that's about 131 hertz. Okay, so this means that I can set it to the 3rd harmonic, 4th harmonic, 5th harmonic, and all that. Okay, so let me show you very quickly. Let me just highlight what this 5th harmonic sounds like. So sometimes it's a frequency that I want to cut out. It's usually around maybe 300, 400 hertz, around that. But this way helps me to do it. It's super, super precise, and it will track every note, and you will just only remove that harmonic. Okay, so let me just show you. All right, have a listen to what this 5th harmonic sounds like. Okay, hear that note. Do, do, do. That's actually 1 octave and the 3rd. Okay, so a very quick music theory lah. So if you on a piano, okay, you have a middle C, do, okay, 3rd will be the do, re, mi, so that's the 3rd lah, okay, major 3rd above. So this helps to cut out, right, the major 3rd harmonic there. The reason because, right, one of the main benefits is that it helps to make the bass note a little clearer, the fundamental a little bit more clear, because that major 3rd, let's say if you the chord that you main is C major, okay, that's fine, right? You have the harmonic major 3rd, it's okay, it's harmonically okay. But then in the key of C major, then you have F, G, some more okay, major chords are fine. But then you go to A minor chord, A minor chord, if you have that 5th harmonic, is going to emphasize C sharp on the scale, and that's not inside the key of C, right? So helping to cut it out will actually help to clear, give a little bit more definition to the bass note lah. So that's basically what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm setting this to the 5th harmonic, cutting at about 2.5 dB, and then you see what it does lah. All right, it will just surf and cut out that 5th harmonic on the bass. See, it's going to follow. Let's bypass. Okay, it's very, very subtle, right? The the change to it is very, very subtle. Now, again, because this is quite a clean bass sound to start with, so it's not a big deal. But sometimes in other kind of bass tone, in some situations, it will be a lot more obvious. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. So let's move on to the next thing on the bass track. We have the 1176. This is by Universal Audio, one of my favorite plugins, man. I got a real 1176 down here, right? That I'm using, right, as the compressor for my vocal mic. So here we go. All right, this is gonna be the one that's adding a lot of the tone and the character to the bass. So let me just back this down first, because I know it usually be a bit louder. Let's play. So this is just going to give a lot more character to it. Yeah, so I'm going to be a bit more aggressive. Let's bypass. Okay, it brings out a bit of the mid-range and it also brings out a bit of the sustain, okay? All right. Let's bypass. Yeah, all right. So attack is fairly slow because I want to let the transient of the bass guitar through. Okay, I don't want to kill the transient. Release is also fairly medium, right? It's not super fast, but it's medium. I want to enhance the sustain. Okay, so yep, sounding good. But that's not all. Let's do a little bit more to, right, even out the bass even more, right? And what I have here is Bass Rider. So Bass Rider is by Waves. Okay, this is also another intelligent smart plugin. What this does is that it will detect, right, the level of the bass that's coming in and very quickly adjust the level so that it will, right, even it out. So this is different from a compressor. A compressor detects the level of the audio. Once it exceeds the threshold barrier, the compressor turns it down. Okay, so a compressor is always going to be slightly late, right? So the behavior is different. Bass Rider is different. Bass Rider looks ahead at the audio and responds accordingly. Okay, right? So it's got a totally different character from compression alone. You can use it for the same reason. The objective is the same. You are trying to even out the bass, but you know, Bass Rider does it in a totally different way lah. Okay, so I've set this to be a very, very gentle setting, right? Again, everything we do here is just a little bit, skate, a little bit just to achieve what we need. Okay, right. You will see this, right, will be this is like a volume fader. This is going to be moving up and down, right, according to the level of the bass that's going to fed it. And all I need to do is to set a target. Okay, so let's do that right now. Then you can see the Bass Rider moving. See how much amount it's adjusting. You know, sometimes 0.6, -1, and all that. Okay, so we can sort of set it about here. Nice. Okay, so you see it's responding to every single note, and you're like adjusting accordingly, and really making the bass very, very nice and even. Okay, let's take a look even at the meters. Okay, very nice sustain, very even. It doesn't jump. Okay, right? So that when the mix is there, when you play back, when the mix is done, your bass frequency is not going to be jumping everywhere lah. Okay, so basically that's it. So that's what Bass Rider is going to do. And nice. Okay, right. It's gone a little bit softer because as you see, this one is generally kind of bringing it down about 1 dB, but later on we'll compensate that up lah. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is one of my favorite plugins. This is called MV2 by Waves. This is an awesome plugin, super simple to use. It does a few things. It's a combination of expansion, parallel compression, upward compression and all that. It's also got traditional compressor here as well, right? But I really love this. This is going to be very useful on a lot of situations. So it's got these 3 different controls. High level is your normal compression lah. When some sound goes too loud, it will compress the sound lah, right? So normal compression behavior. But low level, this is the one that's interesting. The magic takes place here, this low level compression. So they call it low level compression because what it's going to be doing is going to take all the low level stuff, things such as all the transients, all the harmonics, basically where all the energy and the excitement lies, and it's going to bring all of those details up. It's going to bring all those things. It makes it more detailed, more sustained, right? Things like your attack, your definition gets a little bit clearer without affecting the main transient. That's the beauty of this, okay? Because normally if you use compression to achieve that, it affects the punch and the attack. Here it doesn't, okay? So that's the beauty of low level compression. So let's add this in. Let's bring this up. You'll be seeing me that I'll be using this on the guitar solos and all the lead parts as well, okay? Very useful. Let's solo this again so it's easier to hear. See, the sustain immediately is so much better. Okay, but also one thing you got to bear in mind, the volume also goes up lah. So you don't want to be fooled by the volume increase, right? Because it's a psychoacoustic phenomenon. When the human ears hear something's louder, automatically kita akan fikir, we will think that, wow, that sounds better, man. It's a trick that, audio engineers, that audio folk, radio stations have used for decades to trick people into thinking that something sounds better just by turning the volume up, okay? Loudness wars lah, right? That's another topic for another video which you can always check out. So must always make sure that, right, we monitor and check this at the same volume level. So we got to compensate the output. So let's set it around there. Okay, bypass. Yeah, so that's about it. So volume wise, it's about the same, but a bit more, the harmonics, a bit more richness of the mid-range comes out because the MV2 is bringing out all the low detail. The sustain is also increased, right? So it just makes your bass much more solid that way lah, right? And that's it. Pretty much that's it, okay? Right. Here we go. What else is going on in here? Okay. Hey, not important. We got some messages coming in. Okay, here we go. So let's check again. Let's put it with the bass. Nice. Nice, even, flat. Nice long sustain. Really holds the bottom end there. Okay, so that's really, really important lah. Okay. Next one, let's move on. So that's all for the bass. Let's go with piano. So piano, as you can see, as usual, I have that already. So let's blend that in. Nice. Okay, right. So let's do, first thing first, just a little bit of compression will do, okay? What I love to do is FG28. This is a emulation of the LE2. Okay. Alright. Not a lot, just like 1 dB. That's all it needs, okay? You don't need too much, okay? Okay, let's put in a bit of a EQ. Let's bring in the API, FG8. This is an API EQ. I'm going to put this EQ before the compressor, right? I kind of like the way that it sounds before. I will take out maybe about 400, maybe about 6. Let's check it out first. Yeah, just a bit of 400 just to get a little bit of that honkiness sound. A bit of brightness. Let's just brighten this up. Nice. That's all we need, man. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do too much to this. Let's move on. But one thing I want to do with the piano is that I want to sort of reduce the stereo spread a little bit. The reason why is that very often you see all the presets, all the sample libraries that come in with pianos especially, wow, it's very nice. They want to make it sound good. They want to make it sound impressive. So the stereo width is usually, wow, very nice and very wide. But in the context of a mix, a busy mix with a lot of other stuff, sometimes it's not really the best thing. It can sound a little bit unnatural because it's as if you're listening to the piano, you close your eyes, but the piano sounds like it's like 20 feet wide. It's a bit not logical, lah, right? The piano at the most, if you are sitting in front of a piano, the piano is like what, 6-7 feet, around that, 8 feet, maybe around that wide only. But so it doesn't make sense for it to me, lah. Right? It doesn't make sense if the piano sounds like it's like, wow, super wide. So I will usually tuck this in. I will bring this in, right? Just a little bit. So maybe about 75. Okay. So it's not maximum width. It's just slightly inwards. Okay. Here we go. Piano. There we go. That's it. Super simple. All right. Okay, now next thing, let's go with the acoustic guitar. Okay, so this acoustic guitar, I'm going to settle all the main rhythmic instruments first lah. Okay, so acoustic guitar. So this one, I believe you guys have recorded using a live acoustic. Awesome. Okay, right, nice one with a mic as well. So really good. Okay, I really commend you guys for it. Right, because honestly, right, a real acoustic guitar with a mic sounds so much better than using a DI lah. Okay, so let's deal with this one. Let's deal with this baby first of all. So first things first, right? Same thing, tape and console emulation. Let's see, what does it need? Let's listen to it. Okay, cool. So I feel like it might need a little bit of things. There's some little stuff that's poking out, not major lah, okay, not a big problem. So what I'm gonna do first of all is I'm gonna use from Tokyo Dawn Labs. This is a plugin called TDR Nova. This is a parallel dynamic EQ. So what this means is, I'll show you, right, when I work this. But this is an EQ, but it's also, right, can go and engage into a dynamic mode, right, which I'll show you later. So let's do this first of all, and let's start first of all by just doing a high pass on the guitar. Okay, let's find somewhere a little bit busier. Okay. So let's put it about 100, okay? Okay, now I'm just gonna listen, okay? So there is a little bit of, what guitar do you guys use, man? Alright, so it does not sound like the most expensive, but again, that's fine, that's perfectly fine, right? It doesn't sound like it's like a $10,000 Martin or something like that, or Taylor or Gibson. It sounds good. Okay, it sounds fine. Not the best, but it sounds alright, and I can definitely work with it. So there's a little bit of honkiness. It could be a lot of reasons. It could be the guitar. Sometimes could be the room. Sometimes could be where it's mic'd. There are many reasons where it's hard to say. Okay, so a bit of that honk. Let's listen to it. Okay, let me solo this band. Okay, and then I'll solo it. So I'll let you guys hear. So it's around here, you know, it's between 250 to 300, this range. So this is what we don't want, is it? It's very honky, woong, 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 kind of sound there. So we don't want that. So we center this frequency at about 280. Let's take it out of solo. And we're going to go into the dynamic mode. So, right, going into dynamic mode is very simple. We click on threshold. It activates all these settings. You see, ratio, attack, release. It's just like a compressor, right? Okay, it's basically exactly that. All right, we'll leave the settings at default because these actually work really well. Right, 10 milliseconds, right, 180 millisecond release. Ratio, let's bring it to maybe 3 lah. Okay, let's bring it to 3. So this is what it's gonna do, right? So see what it's gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna bring the threshold down. See? widen the Q a little bit. So you can see that this is only going to act, right? This dynamic EQ is going to cut that range of frequencies there, that 280 hertz area, only when that frequency pokes out too much. So it's very, very powerful, right? Dynamic EQ is super, super powerful, and it's very, very clean, and it's very transparent. Because if you have a normal EQ, you cut, it will always have the cut or the boost there, no matter what. So here, all right, and then sometimes when you do that, this means you are kind of cutting maybe some frequencies you want, you see. So we're doing this, and this will only affect, this will only, right, reduce the level of that frequency only when that frequency jumps up. I hope that explains it. I hope I'm clear in explaining it, okay? Right, so let's give it a little bit wider Q so that it's slightly wider band. Bypass. Right, so it just reduces, it cleanly, right, applies a little bit of the EQ to that boom 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 sound, all right? Okay, so let's move on. There's another thing. There's a bit of harshness up here. Okay, maximum Q. Let's solo this. Let's look and let's do for fishing. Let's go memancing. It's around there, 5.6, 5.5. Okay, listen to it. We'll keep, let's engage the threshold. Make sure the band is 3, and let's bring it down. Okay, here we go. There you go. Bypass. Alright, very nice. So it helps to cut out a little bit of that ring 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 ringiness, alright? Okay. Now there's one more area, so let me just check, alright? Okay, one last one. So let's use the 4th band, smallest Q. Let's bring this in. At about 2.4, 2.5K. Right, so a little bit of that same kind of a spikiness going on there. So, right, so let's go again with ratio of 3. That's all right? Just a little bit. Let's maybe just rewind it back here. Okay, especially when it gets to the louder point. So you can see this is what TDR Nova doing. It only engages when those frequencies jump out. Okay, let's bypass. See? Yeah, without, you see, you get all that quing 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 sound going on, and then this helps to reduce all of that, but it doesn't touch the rest of it. Okay, it doesn't affect the rest of the guitar sound. So TDR Nova is free. Okay, go and check it out. Right, the links to all the plugins that I use frequently are down in the description, so you can always check it out. All right, so we got a lot of folks, man. Okay, and Jude says it's a Taylor. Oh, okay. It's a Taylor. All right. Sorry, Taylor. Didn't sound too good, right? But you know, it's workable, right? Sometimes it depends also on the individual guitar. Acoustic guitar, right? You can't really depend on the brand. Sometimes, you know, it can be a very, very branded nice guitar, but if it's not seasoned, or maybe the type of strings that you use, right, it might not really sound that great either. Okay, but anyway, let's go. Okay, cool. Very, very cool. So now that I've kind of taken care of the tone, right, let's put a little bit of the LA2A, FG2A on this. Right, okay, a bit of, it just needs a little bit of sparkle to it with the custom EQ. This is again all part of Slate Digital's All Access Pass, okay? Just give a bit of sparkling to it. Doesn't need that much, just a little bit. Very nice. Okay, let's play from the start. I think I want to back the room down a little bit, just maybe like 2 dB. Too much, okay? I think it's a bit too much of this. Let's back this down a bit. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much most of the main rhythmic instruments, okay? Right, there's some more, of course. The acoustic guitar and the distortion guitar comes later on. But this is the main bit, okay? Let's see. I want to go back to the drums very quickly. Because now when you start filling up with the piano and all the instruments, then you see, you start to see how it affects. Now you need a little bit more, you need to inject a little bit more space back into drums. And so let's go back to the drums, okay? And with the overheads, let's go with, let me send this to the overhead group. Now, usually I have all of this set up inside a group. Let me just bring this overhead group down. Okay, all right. Okay, here we go. There we go. Right. So let me send a little bit of, let's send this overhead over to a reverb, okay? Let's send it here. Let's go. And this reverb that I use here, this is called Reverence by Steinberg. This is a convolution reverb. So convolution reverb, what it does is it uses impulse responses. It uses IRs, okay? We hear IR now at times, always for guitar cap simulation and a guitar amp simulation. But IRs, right, is basically you just take a sampling of any kind of a piece of equipment, a gear, or an acoustic space. It's what we call an impulse response. So one of the earliest uses of impulse response here is also in creating reverbs. So I'm going to import this particular impulse response from a software, right, in my IR library here. All right, let me just go down to SIR, impulse responses. And you can see here, I got a list of a lot of impulse responses that I got over the years, right? These are all impulse responses that are taken from different effects devices, Eventide, the Harmonizer 3000, Lexicon 480, 960, Sony TC6000 finalizer. I'm going to go with the Yamaha SPX 990. There's one which I love to use quite a lot, and this is the snare plate, okay? Right, very, very well-known preset. So this is as if I have the actual hardware reverb unit, right? And using the impulse response, I've actually sampled the sound of that hardware unit, and I'm using that right now, okay? So I want to plunk this over the overheads. Let's check it out and see. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, great. Okay, let me mute everything first. Gives a little bit more space to the drums. Mute. So it's a bit drier this way. Okay, let's bring a bit of that into the snare as well. Let's send the snare, okay, into the let's send the snare into this reverb also. So let's check it out. Yeah, I think it's more useful where it's listen in context. So let's listen with the guitar and the acoustic. Let's play here lah. Let's play in the second verse. Well, let me mute the. Let's mute the additional 12-string guitar sounds first. Nice, okay. The toms are going to need a little bit of that, so let's bring in the toms also, okay, especially at the start here. Very cool, okay. That's nice, okay. Want to EQ a little bit of this, right? So let's listen to this is just the EQ alone. I want to darken it a little bit, so let's pass it down at about 7,000, 7K. Don't want it to be too bright. Okay, so a bit of honking at about 940. This is on the EQing a bit of the reverb. There we go, alright. It smoothens it out a little bit. Okay, very cool. Okay. Right, so going into the second verse, we're still on the acoustic guitars, alright? So this is what I mean by set, and don't forget. You set something, you work on stuff, you work on a better EQ, but if there's but you realize that whenever you make certain changes here, there's a chance that it's going to affect something you did earlier. So, right, you see that sometimes in mix, it's not a linear process. Sometimes I will jump from one here, and then sometimes I'll jump back to drums, or jump forward to another thing, okay? It really depends, okay? So let's work on next thing would be the acoustic. There's another double acoustic guitars, and this one, I believe these are all done using the programmed ones. So it's fine. It's just there to fill in the rhythmic, right? It would be nicer if it's a real acoustic, but again, that's perfectly fine, man, okay? Alright. So this sounds like a 12 string. Very, very, very nice. Okay, so, looks like I haven't put in the, I have not put in the console emulation yet. So let's quickly do that. Alright, here we go. Nice, okay. And this does not need much. A little bit of FG2A, just a little bit. Okay, it does not need more than... Yeah, just 1 dB will do. That's all. And I will probably need to take out a bit of the bottom. Let's use FGA. Let's filter it out. And then just bring out maybe about +2. Okay, let's check it out. Take out some of this bottom as well. Yeah, just take out a little bit at about 200 Hertz. And that's it. That should do. That should do the trick, man. Okay, let's copy the setting over, because basically it's the same thing, right? Okay. Okay, right. Timing sounds a little bit off. Alright, which one is the one that's off? Let's listen back for a second, yeah? Yeah, you see this left sounds like it's a little bit late. I don't know whether it's because when I was prepping or editing, maybe I made a mistake or I don't know, right? See, it sounds like a little bit late. Okay, cool. Very cool. Just adding a little bit of that. Let's listen back to the acoustic guitars. Now, the acoustics here sound like they, again, needs a little bit of that reverb to sort of tie and gel it together, because the acoustics are quite dry. So let's add a bit of reverb to it lah. Alright, so I'm going to be using the same reference reverb, because I want the drums to sort of sit in the same space as the guitars, okay? So that's why I send it right to the same reverb. Just a little bit. Okay, the piano still needs, I think, still need to take out a little bit here at 200, right? Because once again, I'm hearing something, so I quickly go and deal with it, okay? Let's not wait until later. Let's deal with it right away. Okay, great. Awesome. Nice. That's what I like. Okay, cool. Right. Awesome, man. Right. Gonna start getting expensive after EQ. Alright, okay. TS Music Chef, so acoustic guitar sounds much better. Haha. Okay. Right. No worries, man. Yeah. We can always work with it lah, and it depends on the context and the situation. Here, the acoustic guitar plays more of a background rhythmic role, so it sits at the back. It's okay, but when you are dealing, let's say, with there's a song where wow, it's just an acoustic guitar and a vocal, and acoustic finger plucking. The acoustic needs to be clear. That one we really need to make sure that recording is gonna be really sounding good, because you can't, right? It really depends on the source lah. You can't really fix it if it's not sounding good in the first place. So hey, hang on guys, let me just quick sip of water. All right, we're gonna go into the vocal right after this, the exciting part, the mahal punya part. Okay, here we go. Lead vocal. Now, I cheated a little bit. I lie a little bit when I said the rough mix watts did not have any processing, any EQ. There was a little bit, okay, on the lead vocal, and I always drop that in anyway because it helps to put everything into context, okay? So what do I mean, right? I've actually put in my usual vocal chain that I have here. Let me just very quickly show you what I am running this through lah, okay? First one is TDR Nova, the one you've already seen that I use that on the acoustic guitar. So this is going to be a dynamic, this is a dynamic EQ. But there's something new that I'm going to show you just in a second, okay? This is called Smooth Operator by Baby Audio, okay? First time I'm using this on MixStream, by the way, okay? Same thing, virtual tape machine, virtual mix rack, okay? But the only thing here that's different when it comes to vocals is I have a slightly different plugin chain that I'm using. So trimmer here was just to trim to make sure that I get it at about minus 18 dBFS, right? Just to trim it down because the vocal was slightly hot. So virtual channel, same thing, right? But instead of the FG73, I use the Hollywood Virtual Tube Collection. So this is it's not a model of a actual device, but it's influenced by it, all right? So it's inspired by this, but this is more, it gives more of a tube sound because this is, right, a tube preamp. So I would use this for vocals because it really helps to flatter and fatten up some of the vocals lah, okay? So now, but the other thing that I add on the vocal is, right, this compressor here called the FG Stress. This is the emulation of the Empirical Labs Distressor. It's another very, very well-known compressor as well. But what I've done with this is I'm using this as a parallel compressor. So what's parallel compression, right? As you know, the word parallel means salary. That means you have two, right? Two, and they are parallel with each other, okay? So imagine, right? Two tracks, parallel tracks. So what this does, right, is that parallel compression is you take the signal, one which is the unaltered, the uncompressed signal, and then you take the exact same signal, but you compress it or you limit it very, very heavily, right? Usually this is going to be very super compressed, and then you blend the two together. So what this gives you is that it is a very powerful, it's a very, very transparent form of compression because it gives you all the energy, the solidness, right, the level, right, of the compressed signal, but you still have the natural dynamics of the original. So it's the best of both worlds. It's a very, very clean, it's a very, very transparent form of compression. So this is what I've applied, right, on the vocal, and I will use this even on the BVs as well. Pretty much every vocal I will do this. So for starting point, I always set it at 50-50. So 50% uncompressed, 50% compressed signal, and I will sometimes adjust it accordingly lah. But I'm pretty much, I think I'll go with stick with 50-50 in this case. I will turn it down if I'm dealing with a more dynamic vocal performance, like maybe it's like a pop ballad, maybe it's a ballad or an acoustic track or something a bit more organic, a bit more country. Sometimes I'll go down to make 30%, 20%. Again, it depends lah. But in most of the pop rock stuff, the rock stuff, I usually leave it at about 50-50. So I have this on, and I'll immediately straight away balance this accordingly. Same thing, okay? Vocals are all gonna go to, our lead vocal is going to the group. I'll show you what else is in the group later on. So let's just balance this in first, okay?
Sorongku dotik kita dah Ikan opo ipomu sarahanku Pendong pihit tinggi nawaku
Okay, hang on a second. Let me just skip that for a second. Let me go back to the bass for a while.
Ku dotik kita dah Ikan opo ipomu sarahanku
Okay, this bass note, I think it's sustaining a little bit too long because here you see the note changes. So what I'll do is let's try and fade it out and see what happens.
Ipomu sarahanku Pendong pihit tinggi nawaku
I see. Okay.
Amilo tunaga
Okay, this is going to be a little bit problematic here. Might have to fix it later on. But in the moment, but for the time being, either I have to automate this out so that it fades out a little bit, or I have to, because the note changes there. So, okay, let's deal with it later on. Okay, let me just mark this so that I don't forget. Come back to it later. All right, that's cool. All right.
dotik kita dah
Okay, let's go back to lead vocal.
Ikan opo ipomu sarahanku Pendong pihit tinggi nawaku
Nice. Okay.
Amilo tunaga
So you see parallels, not that much.
Gompionku dati tubusku
Yeah, but when you get to the louder parts, you see there's a lot more compression.
Nogi sontok nawayaanto
Quite a lot, you see, even up to 10 dB of a gain reduction here.
Lumansano kuda Maida kopi iso kito Numbalanku da homporommu
See,
Sontok suang titigin nawaku
sometimes it even goes as much as, at the peaks, it goes up to 14, 15 dB as well. And I'm sure later on in the back chorus, it goes even louder than that. So, yep, so that's cool. So that's what the FG Stress is doing. So going back to what I wanted to show you guys, right, is this new plugin that I've bought. Okay, this is called Smooth Operator by Baby Audio, right? It's cool company. Basically what this is kind of doing, it's like a dynamic EQ, right? But the way that the interface works is a lot more simpler, right? It is meant to smoothen out frequencies. Now there are a few things. If you watch previous episodes, you see that I do the same thing using TDR Nova, right? But TDR Nova, as you can see, right, gives me all the ratio, attack, release. So, but Smooth Operator is a lot simpler to use. Okay, it is you can adjust things such as your Q and your bandwidth and all of that. Okay, you can see I can with a scroll wheel I can adjust the Q. So I'm trying to achieve the same thing, right? I'm trying to target maybe some of the harsh frequencies and have it right dip it down lah, okay? But okay, we'll go to that later, right? We'll go to Smooth Operator in just a short while. First things first, solo the vocal. Let's take out some of the bottom end. Make sure, right? Making sure that we don't have all the bottom end. Let's start with TDR Nova. High pass filter, 12 dB per octave. Let's find where we go.
Osoroku dotik kita dau
Nice.
Ikan opo idpo musara.
Okay, you can see there's a little bit of those plosives on the p, right? So you get that low frequency thing. So this high pass filter helps to take care of it, lah. Right?
Idpo musarahanku.
There we go. Yeah.
Penggempihiti ginawaku.
Right. Really, really good. Good sounding vocal, man. Awesome by Engelbert. Sounds really, really good. Okay. Okay, so now this is where let's bring in the smooth operator. Okay, so let's play this. And it sort of automatically already works right away, but I don't want that necessarily, okay, because I just want to target only the harsh frequencies. So let's see, how do I bypass this? Okay, let's bypass.
Gompionku dati tupusku.
Okay, let's bring the threshold up first.
Om nogi sontob nawaya anto.
Because I want all that warmth, okay? I don't want it to be cutting down. So just only the top, some of the high frequencies when we go louder, okay? So let's go to the chorus.
Numbalanku da pompolombu.
So a bit of that sound. So let's solo this, right? Let's solo this frequency. So yeah, around that, right? That is, as you can see, at about 4K, right? When I click on it, it's a bit hard to see. I hope you guys can see this thing. Let's try to resize the GUI so that it's a little bit bigger. Okay, let me bring it this a little bit bigger, right? Because I can see it, but you know, if you guys are watching on the screen, it's a bit harder to see lah. Okay, there we go. It's a bit easier. So see this guy here, this is at just about 4K, right? Down here, it shows here 4 kilohertz. So I'm gonna, right, tweak this. Take it out of solo mode first. Let's take out solo. So let's bring it down. So you can see it's taking out this frequency here. Bypass. Sweet, yeah. So yeah, it's a very, very, very smooth way of this to deal with this harsh range of frequencies. It's normal. Every singer, right, every vocal, when they go to the higher range, very often you get a little bit of that harshness there. So this helps to take it out lah. So the focus control here gives, you know, it's like the amount, it's like the percentage. They call it focus, right? You know, why can't they just call it intensity or something? But focus, yeah, you know, so they call it focus is basically like a percentage lah. The 75 here means it's like about 75% strength, which works great already, okay? So this helps to take out this frequency. And then it only acts, again, once again, like a dynamic EQ, only when it exceeds lah. So check it out, Baby Audio. I'll probably do a more complete tutorial video on this real soon, okay? And right, subscribe to the channel, okay, so that when I put it out, you see it lah. So let's listen to in context.
Numbalanku da pompolombu. Sontop sua.
I think it's taking out too much of it, so let me just bring it back up. Yeah, okay. Right. Again, it's important to listen in context with the mix and the balance lah. Just now was way too much, okay? Alright, so let's get out of it. You can switch colors too, I think. Pink is so baby. So let's change it to green and blue. Let's stick with blue lah, okay? I like blue, okay? Right. So let's move on. So the next thing that I have here is sibilance. This is a de-esser. De-esser is very simple. You know what it does. The de-esser just helps to take out all the S's. Default setting already works great. Now I have another thing here. I have one compressor here going on. This is the RCOM Renaissance compressor. What this one is doing is again super subtle, right? Right. What I'm having this here is just to catch some of the very loud peaks. Okay, so ratio is at about 4.4. Attack is 2 milliseconds. That's really fast, right? Release 170 milliseconds. That's pretty fast as well. It's just there to catch the peaks. So let's go in the chorus, all right? That's loud part. So just see here, okay? Look at the gain reduction.
Numbalanku da
That's all. It's just doing a little bit. Bring it down a bit more, 3.5. Okay, that's all. That's all it's doing. Okay, it also helps also that Bert, right, is really good. Right, he's a great singer. He's got a great voice going on here. Dynamics as well. He's got really good control. So, right, I don't have to do much lah. Makes my job so much easier, man. Awesome. So cool. So that is the first stage of dealing with vocals, okay? So vocals is the most interesting part lah, right? And it's the part you have to really pay attention to. So there we go. A lot of stuff are going on in the chat. Awesome. Okay. Hey, Ben Vincent is here. Hey, hi man. Hi Ben. Awesome. All right. Did you play on this track as well? Thanks for joining in the live chat, man. Okay, cool. So let's go on to another step. So we've done all the fine tuning, all right, all the corrective side of things with the vocal. Let's go a little bit more creative now, okay? Right. So we took out all the unwanted low frequencies. I took out and smoothed out all the unwanted high harsh frequencies, okay? We did a bit of the parallel compression just to even out the vocal. So now it's time to get creative. So how do we get creative? I'm going to show you the vocal thickening trick, okay? Right, okay. For those who have watched my channel for past 1 year or so, already know what I'm going to do lah. But this is a trick, right? It's a technique where I'm going to fatten up and thicken up the vocal a little bit, make the vocal sound a bit bigger, sound a bit bigger as well, bigger, a little bit more wider, right? Just basically make it sound thicker and better lah. So what I will use is this plugin. This is called Waves Doubler. Let me just show you where it is. This is called Doubler. So this is basically as the name implies, it's a doubler thing, right? Which means you can add, several. You can add double tracks, and in fact, I think you can even add up to 4 voices if you want. But I've set it to doubler to doubler 2 or 2, and if you have any 2 voices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this lead vocal. Okay, oops, let's take this out. Send the lead vocal to the doubler effect. Solo it, and then you hear how it sounds like. This is the default setting on doubler. Nice wide stereo chorus kind of a effect, right? That's what we're gonna do, okay? Right? So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna run the lead vocal through this doubler a few times, okay? To be precise, I'll run it 4 times, and every time I do it, I will be changing the detune value, right? I'm going to be tuning each take slightly sharper, slightly flatter, right? By different increments. I'm going to start with the first one, right? With a setting of +3 and -3, okay? So the left voice will be +3 cents. The right voice will be -3 cents, right? This is not volume level, this is the center, this is the tuning, the pitch, okay? Right, so this is like percentage, like it's like 3%. So let's do this first of all, vocal thickening trick. It will take a few minutes or so. Alright, so if anybody wants to go to the toilet, this is actually a good time. But one thing you got to be careful is, right, because I'm going to be exporting and bouncing these tracks out, I have to be careful of one thing. I have to make sure that my stereo plugins, right, on my stereo master bus are all turned off, because otherwise when you export, it's going to export through all of this. You are running through all the additional processing, and then you import it back again. you run through it again, right? It's not going to sound the same lah. It's going to sound a bit too over exaggerated. So right, bypass all the inserts on the stereo. So double check. Okay, if you like me, you mix through. If you mix through a master bus processing, right, make sure you turn that off lah before you bounce all this. So let's select the entire lead vocal, right, from start to end, and let's export it through this. So first thing we do, okay, export audio mix down. Let's go to FX channels doubler. Okay, file name, let's call it doubler +3. File path, make sure you're sending it to the right file, project audio folder, right? Preview the name. MP3. No. Do not work with MP3s, okay? Make sure you're using WAV file. Check your sample rate, 48 kilohertz, 24-bit, left-right channel, and very important, after export, you want them to create an audio track and reinsert it back into the pool. So here we go. First track, all right, and let me just check out what else is going in the chat as well. Export audio. This will take a few minutes, okay? And hey Ben, okay, awesome. Right, Ben said, oh sedap pakai distressor for parallel com. Yeah, there's no right or wrong, okay. It's just that, you know, you can use anything depending on what you want to do. I like using, basically, actually, I like using a limiter, and the setting that I have on the distressor when I do the parallel compression, right, is close to a limiting. Distressor has got a setting which is called the nuke, right? That it's almost like a it's almost behaves like a limiter lah, right? So before using this, I was using Waves L1, right? The L1 Ultra Maximizer. In fact, any kind of limiter also works best because the limiter is a lot more transparent than using a compressor, right? A limiter, in theory, right, a limiter will not change the frequency or the tonal balance of the character. It's just limiting the volume and the level. Because if you send it through a compressor, if you send it like through a 1176 or a LA2A, they all have its color, it's got its tone, and so you are subtly changing it. So I prefer using a limiter for this purpose lah, right? But right, in this case, the distressor, that setting, the nuke setting, behaves like a limiter as well. So yeah, that is the reason why lah, okay. Ben says favorite part JD signature doubler. It's not my signature. This is actually, I learned this trick from watching a Warren Hewitt's channel from Produce Like a Pro. I highly recommend that, you know, you guys subscribe and check out Warren Hewitt. He is really the inspiration lah behind doing a lot of stuff lah. He's probably one of, if I not say, probably the best online learning community and also YouTube channel for learning stuff that's related to all of this, okay, right? I compared to Warren, okay, I am a nobody lah, okay. He's super fantastic. And even this is not a technique that he invented. This was actually okay, let's move on first. Let's go on to the next one. Let's go on with -6 +6. Okay. All right, let's go on with -6, and okay, let me I'll explain why I do this +6 -6 +3 -3 and all that later on. Okay, let's export this. So this is the second one. So this, a little bit of background, this is actually replicating a setting, right? It's a particular preset that's on the Eventide harmonizer. It's a particular preset, so it's just the attempt to try and replicate and to recreate that setting, okay, of that via whatever the existing plugins that we have lah. I'll have to check it out. I think whether Eventide has put out their new plugins that brings this setting back or not. Okay. Maybe one day I have to check out the Eventide plugins lah and see how it goes. Okay, but it's not something that I created. It is not something that Warren created. It's actually just recreating something that used to be. We used to do that using the actual Eventide hardware effects processor. We're just trying to recreate it, right, with whatever plugins. I've done this in a video, right, on my channel. You can actually check it out. It's a whole tutorial video. And you don't need to have the same plugins that I use. You can use whatever stock plugins inside to sort of recreate the same effect lah. Whether it's using Cubase, using Studio One, whatever DAW you're using, right? You just use the same principles and the same approach. You can sort of achieve the same effect as well. Okay? Right. But good question there, man. Right. All right. So we're done too. Let's go with number 3, right? The third one. We're going to do a total of 4, okay? Right, and you can see on the detune value, first one I did was +3 and then -3, right? Now, the second one I've done, it's -6 +6. I'm increasing every time with 3 lah, right? With 3 cents of detunement. But I switched the positive, the sharp and the flat value around, left, right, and I switch it around. The reason because if you leave all your positive values, right, on one side, what's going to happen? Your left-hand side thing is going to sound sharp and the right-hand side is going to sound flat. That's going to be weird lah when you listen to it. It's like, hey, why one side? It sounds like the vocal like sing it to one side lah, right? One side sharp, one side flat. So doing this, alternating, evens the whole thing out. It balances out lah, okay? So let's go now to the third one will be +9 and -9, okay? My mouse is like super sensitive today. Let's export. So this will be +9. Here we go. Yeah, the nyamuk ada lalat inside here. How does the thing come inside here, man? My door is all closed. The studio is like all closed and airtight. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for chilling out with me. What time is it now? Dah pukul 11. Awesome, right? Thanks for chilling out with me all this while. Okay, I know there's so much other stuff that you could be watching. You could be watching your Disney, you could be watching your Netflix, you could be watching a lot of other stuff and programs that's going on. But I really appreciate that you have taken the time to tune in and watch this live stream. By the way, once again, if you haven't become a subscriber, please, right, head on down and click on the subscribe button, right? I really, really appreciate it. And guys, if you want to support the channel, and you want to support the featured artist, right? Do think about becoming a patron, right? You can sign up, right? As a patron via the website. The link and the details are all up there, right, in the text above. The cool thing about patron is that there are all different types of perks and benefits. Okay, so for example, Zachariah here is one of the patrons. He is on the direct access tier, and so one of the perks and benefits that he gets is that we do one-on-one tutorial and mentoring sessions. So we just did one earlier this morning. Okay, right? So we sat down, we do it over Zoom, right, and we do consultations. You can ask me anything. We spend some time one-on-one. You know, you could be working on a project, you need some advice on, okay, how's my mixing like, what are the things I need to adjust, what I need to tweak. Or if you want stuff, if you want advice on music career or music business or stuff like that, we can also chat on those kind of subjects as well, right? And we do it once every week, okay? So jom, let's go. Where are we now? One last one, right? Last one would be -12 and +12, so it will be the last one. So we do only 4 because when you start going beyond that, when you start going to +15, -15, there it starts to sound out of tune already. So there we don't go beyond that lah. Okay, so I mean, at least I don't go beyond that. Okay, so how are we doing for time? Awesome. Let's see. Ben Vincent, maybe it's Ant-Man. Ant-Man. Joke. Ant-Man. I don't get it, man. Right. Care to explain, okay? Black RX, maybe Zachariah says. Okay. Guys, maybe it's a reference that I'm not getting. Okay. Jun. How are we doing? Okay, one more thing is that what you're going to see here is going to be pretty much the broad strokes and the overall sketch. By the time I end the live stream tonight, which might take maybe about an hour plus or so, right? So this will be at what I call the first draft stage, maybe about 80% of the way there, right? Pretty much there, but only 80% lah, okay? So after this, usually we'll take a break, right? It's only the first draft. I'll usually come back again, right? Take a break, take an ear break. Either come back a few hours later or I come back again the next day in the morning to do a little bit more fine tune. There's a lot of stuff that actually needs to go into the into things such as the automation of the vocals. A lot of stuff that you need to fine tune in the mix. Usually I don't show that because if you were to sit there, right, and see, that will take hours, okay? That will take like 4-5 hours of your time, and nobody has got time to watch and see all this kind of thing, so I don't show all those stuff lah. Okay, so but right, just to let you know, there's a lot of other things that get involved as well. So okay, cool, we have already bounced down the 4 double tracks you can see here, right? So there's 4 sets of all these stereo tracks. Let's not forget to turn back on the stereo bus. Now I will very quickly explain, right, to you in a short while of what I'm using, but I won't go into detail because again there's a video which I've already done on my channel that explains, right, my Cubase project templates, and I talk about the master bus processors here. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that on the stream. So time to blend in. Okay, remember, set the vocal back to the lead vocal group. All right, so let's listen to how these guys sound. Let's solo these 4. All right, so take a listen. This is how it sounds. Oh, okay, right. So there you go. Right. Oh, I'm looking at the chat just now under the fly. Okay. Oh, other the lalat and the fly. Yeah, that could be Ant-Man, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, now I get it. All right. So anyway, yeah. So the doubler. Okay. So this is how it sounds like. You see, it's very chorusy. It's you know, it's wide and everything. So what we want to do is just to blend this in. Okay, we will this one first of all. Send it again, same to the lead vocal group. Okay, these are all going to be blended in together, and let's blend this in and see, right? To me, I like this, right? It's very subtle, just to make it a little bit thicker, a little bit fatter. But I'll bring it up so you get I'll exaggerate it so that you can hear how it sounds, right? This is obviously too much, yeah, but just so you can hear how what it's doing lah. So just blend it in. So it's about, you know, on average, you know, this is at -7 and these are all at about -10. So these are all just blending in a little bit. It's going to give it a little bit of fatness, a little bit of width as well, okay? But I will EQ it. So you see, there's the reason why, there's another reason why this workflow, I prefer doing this, and you know, even on Warren Hewitt's channel, he demonstrates this. It's because I have the flexibility to EQ this later, and sometimes even, you know, edit this out, maybe chop out parts which I don't want. Because if I send this to an effect, you know, it's, you know, I have to do a lot more automation and stuff like that. But here I can treat the EQ, I can EQ it straight away. So let's solo the double track. Let's listen. Okay, I don't need too much of the bottom end, so let's take out 200. But also, more importantly, I don't want a little bit of the mid range. At about 580, yeah. So let's cut that out. And a bit of 3.8, okay? So let's take it out, and don't need all the top end. So let's, right, let's high pass everything above 10K. So, yeah. Let's copy, I'll copy the EQ over to all 4 tracks. So all of them are going to have the same EQ. Let's link it. And there you go, right? So now it's all linked together. So this helps me to fine tune it a little bit more, right? That's why the reason of the workflow of doing this as well. Okay, so here we go. So the vocal is a little bit wider, a little bit bigger, slightly more, you know, to the sides as well. A bit more dimension to it lah. Nice. Okay, cool. Now, before I go into the other creative aspects of the vocal, I want to set something. Okay, I want to go to my stereo bus. Okay, so here you go. What I want to do now is I want to just to start dialing in what I have on my stereo master bus. Okay, so this air EQ just has a very, very, very tiny, you know, little bit of a EQ boost up here. Wave C4, you saw I used this earlier on the bass, but this one, I'm going to be dialing it in so that, okay, let me just go straight to the last chorus because that's a loud part, okay? So it's going to be a bit loud for now. So what I'm going to do is this is just going to control and make sure that there's no particular range of frequencies that's going to be jumping out too much, right? Just to smoothen it out things a little bit. Very subtle. Okay, where's the vocal? Here we go. See what I want to do? Just a little bit. I just want the gain reduction on the top end just to dance a little bit. Almost you can almost hardly see it. Okay, so that's what it's doing. Hi-hat sounds a little loud right now. Let's bring the hi-hat. Okay, cool, yeah. So I think, okay, when it gets here, the hi-hat does sound a little loud. So what I'm going to do is, let's break this in lah, okay? So, I use this very often. This is called the AOSys E2 de-esser. So even though it's a de-esser, it's actually very flexible. You can use it on a lot of things, okay? De-esser is not only used to, you know, control the sibilance of vocals. You can use it for, in this case, I'm going to do it to sort of just massage and control the top end that's coming out from the hi-hats, okay? And maybe it's a little bit of cymbals. So let's just dial this in. Okay, let's make it smoother. Yeah, okay, so just to smoothen out that top end a little bit lah, okay? Okay, so now let's go back to the stereo. Okay, let's go back to my stereo master bus over here. Right, so where were we just now? Okay, cool. Next thing that I have, right, TDR Nova here is not being used. This is virtual bus compressors, okay? So I have these. I've set it up so that, you know, these are going into each other in a series in a rack. I have the FG Gray, which is an SSL. FG Red is a Focusrite. Red compressor, and FG Mu, this is a emulation of a Fairchild. What this is going to do is, again, all of these are going to just be very subtle, not more than 1 dB of gain reduction on each, okay? This is all gonna glue the whole mix together. And then I play it on the louder section of the song, which is the last chorus, okay? Bypass without. Without it, oh man, you know, it feels like the energy just goes away, right? Okay, the piano starts to sound a little hard when it gets here. Okay, a little bit of volume down. And I think what it needs is a little bit of, just a little bit of the TDR, okay? So just to, okay, let's listen to the last chorus because that's the loud part. Right, so let's just dial this in, this frequency in. Yeah, around 3.5, okay? Because it starts to fight with the vocal, so let's just have a little bit. Let's leave it at default. Ah, I'm hearing something as well, a little bit of crunchiness. Ah, maybe that's why it's getting a little bit crunchy, okay? So this is because of the virtual drive here. Let's turn this down. Okay, right, that cleans it up as well. So, you know, when the piano gets a bit louder, a bit more exciting, I want the dynamic EQ to start to, you know, to tame a little bit around the 3K, 4K range, so it doesn't start fighting with the vocal. Yeah, because the harder you play, you know, the brighter the tone of the piano gets, you see. Might need a little bit of automation. I might automate it so that it goes down maybe a dB or so, but let's see how it goes now, okay? So where are we? Yeah, okay, so let's go back to the stereo bus. All right, sorry guys for jumping around, but you know, that's what it is in mixing, man. Virtual mix track, there are a couple of things I'll just show you here very quickly. Custom series lift, just a tiny touch, like 0.5 and 1 for the presence. The revival's not being used, FG bomber, trimmer, and virtual mix bus. So let's change it to, right, SSL 4000. Right, and saturator, I don't use it. Only sometimes I'll use it. Right, and last but not least, right, top it off with the virtual tape machine once again. So it's writing, it's as if it's recorded on an analog tape, and then I also mix it down onto the tape medium, right? Okay, so you get the whole load of analog goodness. Okay, so that's the stereo bus. Let's go back to the vocal. So now it's time to go into the creative processing side. Okay, let's start with the chorus first. Okay, let's go, because I want to work with the loud parts first. So let's solo the vocal. So first thing I want to deal with, okay, is this guy. This is the 1176. Same guy I use on the same compressor and use the bass. I'll use this on the vocal. Let's engage it. And here we go. Let's feed it in. Ratio is at 4. Attack is at the slowest attack, fastest release.
Numbalanku.
So this is I'm gonna really push this, okay? Right. So to get all that energy and the goodness out of the vocal. It does bring out a little bit of the room, but in context with the entire mix, it's not really noticeable, okay? Thicker, more, you know, more immediate, more presence there. See, a little bit of the room comes out, and that's perfectly fine, okay? Right? It's not too much of an issue. Okay, now let's turn on the pull tech. I have a pull tech that's before the 1176, and I set the compression first, right? It's a bit tricky, right? And then only I EQ it into the compressor. Now, when I EQ into the compressor, it's going to affect the compression slightly, right? Slightly, because you are feeding a little bit more level into it. Okay, but I don't know. This is a different character, right? I like to do it this way to push into the compressor, then see how it reacts, lah. So I just want to bring it, give it a little bit more mid-range, just to give it a little bit more power in the vocal. So let's go with a wide bandwidth. Let's start with 4K and let's see.
Numbalanku dah pompor rembus Santop suar ditigin
Bypass.
Pinaratiku dah ngawi Sangkurorin alom ditupusku
Yeah, 5K sounds about right. Actually, I think I like 3K, I like 3K here. I kind of like what's happening here. Let's go back again to the verse. I'm going to compare, right, different sections, because the verse, the dynamic is different from the chorus. Okay, cool. I like it. So a bit of de-esser. It's going to need a second de-esser. So I have a de-esser at the start. I have another de-esser post, right, after all the EQ and compression as well, because it's going to bring up all the essers and all the transients, right? So let's set this. Okay, cool. Another thing that all this compression does, it also brings up a lot of those sibilants and transients, like the K, the T, the consonant sounds, right? Especially all the T, the K sounds. Sometimes it might be a little bit too much, right? But the thing is, I like the character of what the compression is doing. So in what I will usually do later on is these kind of things, right? The easiest way to deal with it is actually just by editing. So later on, I actually go down in this, right? I'll do this later on. I'm not doing a live stream because, again, if I were to do this now, it's going to take a long time, right? So I will slowly go and, right, just do a little fade in on some of these consonants here. T, all the T's and all that, all right? Just to dial it in, just to smoothen it in as well. I don't want to forget also, okay, this is also, right, happening in the, you can see the doubler track. So don't ignore it, don't forget it, okay? So now with the doubler track, if this is the case, I will sometimes just chop off this transient, man. The TK sounds from the doubler, you don't need it to be too hard lah, okay? So this should soften it a little bit. Yeah, okay, so it softens the K sound, the ku sound, it softens it slightly. Alright, so let's again do a little fade in here. Small little things like this, okay, can help to, right, take care of all the details lah. Alright, okay. Now I'm not gonna show you, okay, but I will do all of this later on lah, okay. Right, all these little things, I will shave off all the T, K, all these consonants, because it's a little bit too hard now. In a rock kind of a setting, it's fine because everything is super aggressive. But here, when it's just the piano, it's a bit hard lah. Okay, so where are we? Let's go back to the vocal. Right, cool. Now, one more thing that I will go here. You can see I have MB2 here as well. Sometimes I will use this, right? But I don't think I need it because, again, right, the Bert's vocals, really good dynamics, very, very even, well sung. So it's not a problem lah. So, but what I will do is I will use Vocal Rider. So, you remember this is the cousin to Bass Rider that I use on the bass. This one is tuned and dialed in more towards so that it works with vocals. Exactly the same principle, okay? All right. You set the range, you set your target. All right. I've set it to the most gentlest. I've set it to like the gentlest setting because I don't want it to be that aggressive. So let's go again. I will check and the chorus because that's the loudest part. All right.
Numbalanku dah pompo rembus Santop suang ditigin nawaku.
Okay, you can see that it's riding it up maybe about 2.5 dB. So I will compensate this down. All right.
Pinaratiku dah ngawi Sangkurorin alom titupusku Ginawanku dah ikan
Nice and even.
Anggamanku titupusku
There we go. Sweet. All right. And, all right. So those are my initial levels for the vocals. Let's bring in, actually it might be a little bit louder. Let's bring it down to 2.5. Okay. So now time to put in the effects. Let's go with the verse first. First thing I want to do is I want to give a bit more of width, a bit more depth. And how I do that, I love to use this guy called Super Tap. It was also by Waves. This is a 2-taps. It's actually a delay plugin. But what I make sure is that I turn off the feedback because you don't want to hear multiple feedbacks, you see, or the delay. It's just one single reflection. This is going to emulate as if it's been recorded in a nice, expensive studio with wood paneling rooms and something like that. Okay, so one of the things is EQ, right? There's an EQ section here. There is a low pass filter. I've cut everything from 1.5K and above. So this is just going to give it a bit of, just as if I'm placing it inside a nice sounding room. Here we go. Just a little bit of that roomy sound, right? Just as if, so it's not like it's being sung inside a small dry vocal booth. It's like, oh, it's like you're sitting in a much bigger room, right? More grand lah, okay? Okay, just a little bit of that. Next thing will be, let's add in a mono delay here. Okay, right, you can hear that. Let's set this to 16 notes. Let's set it to ducking -20. This is going to give it a bit of front back depth. Again, just a little bit. Okay, right. Okay, let me just write this very quickly. Okay, I think here. Actually, all those Ks and all those consonants, right, is kind of bugging me right now. But again, usually if I was not mixing this on the live stream, I would work and sort all those Ks and consonants out right now, lah. But for live stream purposes, right, I'll leave it in there first. I'll deal with it later, okay? Right, because I need to move on and show you guys everything else that I need to do. Put in a little bit of mono delay. I could deal with it by changing the attack time on the compressor, but when I do that, it changes the characteristic of the compression, so that's not what I want, you see, because when you change one thing, it affects something else, and so the way I have to deal it is what I showed earlier lah. I have to go in and really edit out some of these consonants out one by one, okay? Okay, let me just do some rough overall automation. Now, actually at this stage, usually I will switch over to a different pair of speakers. right? Because what I've been using all this while now, I've been using my main big pair of 8-inch speakers, right? I've been listening on that. But when it gets to the vocals, right, I will move in and use a different pair of speakers. I use another set. It's a Yamaha, a pair of Yamaha NS10 speakers, lah. All right, so all right, let me turn on the monitors for a while. Let me turn on the power amps, okay? These are passive speakers, so they need a separate power amp. Let me mute the main speakers. Alright, I'm gonna turn this on. And using the skill of using my feet and my toes to switch on and turn the volume up. There we go. Alright, so the NS10s are great for checking vocal balances, right? So and it's useful to have a separate pair, you know, two or more sets of smaller speakers, because it gives you different perspective. Piano still could be a little bit softer. And when the drums come in, okay, so when the drums come in, I could bring the vocal up. Let's automate it. Yeah, alright, so let's bring this to about -1 during the second verse. Right, and when it kicks to the chorus, back up to 0. There we go. So we get a bit of dynamics. Okay, you can see I bypass all the other instruments first. It's very important. Okay, to me, my approach is I always want to bring in the vocal very, very quickly. One of the challenges that a lot of younger mix engineers always, you know, complain is that, oh, it's very hard for me to get the vocal to sit in, right? To sit in the mix and all that. And I have discovered personally, one of the easiest ways to overcome that problem is to bring in the vocal early during the mix. So you can see once I've done the drums, bass, and the main rhythm instrument, I skip all this other stuff. Go and deal with the vocal first. Make sure the vocal sits really nicely, EQ it so that it's sounding great, sounding good, add in all the effects that are necessary. Then only I bring in all the other guitars and all the other supporting instruments, the lead fills and all that, so that I know that all the other decisions I make on those instruments is going to support and not going to clash with the vocal. The thing is that, you know, when I started out as an engineer, and when you know, the very first mixes, it's natural lah. We always, let's make the music sound perfect first. Everything was mixed, EQ, everything perfectly. Then only we'll mix in the vocal. The problem is, once you have the challenge, the difficult part is when you have made your music mix so perfect, you know, it sounds great already, but then when it comes time to put in the vocal needs to fight and compete with all of those other instruments. So usually this means that you have to really EQ your vocal. You have to really over EQ it just to make sure that the vocal, you know, pokes out and sits in the mix lah, right? Which sometimes it's unnatural. So take the other approach. In this case, work on the vocal early. Set the vocal early. Make sure the vocal tone, you know, your EQ and everything is there. Then only you bring in the instruments. You'll find that you get a much more easier results, right, with the vocals in that sense. Okay, because vocal is king lah. Vocal is the one that sells the song. This is the part that the listener is going to remember. They want to listen to the vocal, they want to listen to the lyrics, they want to listen to the words, okay? Not so much on the guitar is doing this nice feel, or this nice little lick or riff that's going on in the background. No, you have to think about what the normal listener wants. The listener really wants to focus and listen on the vocal. So mix it that way so that, you know, it will appeal and you will grab the attention of your listener, of your fans, okay? So anyway, sidetrack. Let's go back to that. Let's bring this down, because now listening on the NS10s, this sounds a bit too much. Okay, in the second verse, maybe I can dip it down 1 dB again, same thing. Okay, actually more of 0.5, alright? Let's jump over, so this is solo. So back to the chorus, last chorus. Alright, cool. See, make sure the vocal is there, up front, center, strong, solid, then bring in the rest of the instruments, okay? So let's go back. Okay, so this again, this is roughly, these are the broad strokes. Let me switch it back to my main speakers. Because what I want to do is I want to go back and add a little bit more effects to it. So here we go. So a bit of reverb. So let's start with the vocal reverb, and the vocal reverb is coming up here, right? In this plate reverb, this is the EMT. So the big speakers are a little bit more detailed. It helps me to judge the effects levels a bit better, right? But when it comes to like the balance of the vocals, the smaller NSNs are better lah. Here we go. Solo the reverb. Bit of honkiness. At about 680, 690 hertz, let's get rid of that. Okay, then when it comes to the chorus, okay, this is, I'm gonna, to build dynamics, there are many ways, alright? Arrangement, okay, I mentioned already, right? Good example, how they increase all the parts, you know, they added the new parts, right? How Sylvester introduced all these new parts to build up the arrangement. In a mix, you also want to do that. As a mix engineer, you also want to help in that area. You want to build the dynamics also. So, you see in the verses, we have a mono delay. When you get to the chorus, what I'm going to do is I will add and automate so that a stereo delay kicks in, okay? So here we go. So when the chorus kicks in, on. Can you guys hear it? Once I stop it, the stereo delay is going on. Need to duck it a little bit. Okay, alright, the ducking, I think that's fine, but the feedback needs to go down a little bit. Right, so that the chorus, right, is a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, a little bit more dynamic. Okay? In the verse, the delay, the mono delay is much more centered. Okay, then when the chorus, poof, vocal gets bigger. Dynamics. And then it's gonna stop, right? And it's automated when it comes up. So back to the second verse, back to mono. Okay, alright, cool. So that's the second verse. Then coming back, last chorus. Okay, you guys can hear it. When I stop it, then you hear it, right? That's the delay. But it's a little bit subtle, but it makes the chorus, the vocal in the chorus, bigger, wider, right? It adds more dynamics to it lah. Alright, Chun, where are we now? Okay, let's go back to, right, very quickly, let's go to the verse, right? Right, this little tram guitar. This one particular note kind of jumps out a bit too much, so let's just use a bit of a compressor there. That top note jumps out a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna use I love using this, man. The LA3 is really nice on electric guitars, on clean guitars especially. Right, actually on any sort of electric guitar lah. Super simple. Just peak reduction, gain. That's it. There, okay. So that kind of evens out the. So that top note, yeah, that dang dang, that highest note, yeah, it controls it a little bit. Okay, here we go. Let's balance it. Blend. A bit more, I think. Alright, okay, so there's another second guitar that goes on this side. Let's check out what this guitar is doing. Okay, this is... So it's a clean guitar, but it's more of a delay on it. So this one, it sounds a little compressed already, so that's good. So don't need to do much. Okay, very cool. Yeah, so with electric guitars, right, I do encourage that just record it with whatever effects that you have already. So it's got a bit of compression. It's already got the delay, the reverb in it. Although I may want to let me just solo that. Let's loop this part. Make sure that we don't have too much of the bottom end. Okay. Okay, this may be a little bit spiky, and again, this is where a limiter might help. Let's put the little clipper on. Okay, it's got a bit of spikiness at the start. Yeah, there we go. Helps a little bit. Okay, right, but what I may want to do is just give it a slightly longer reverb tail. So, right, it's very country. Okay, really cool. And what I'll do is let's put a little plate reverb. This is the little plate. Literally, the name is called little plate. Let's add a little plate. So let's have a slightly longer. Yeah, so that the tail kind of drags on, pulls on a little longer. Okay, let's take out the low cut. Let's automate this. The second note, it's a bit soft. Oh, it's a bit low, that's why. So let's bring this up. Let's just clip gain this thing up. There we go. There we go. Just maybe 1 dB up. Yeah. Okay, now time to go into the first chorus. Okay, so first chorus. Let's check out this first guitar first. Let's see what it's doing. All right, cool. All right, it's got this kind of a delay pattern. Okay, right. So let me just take out all the bottom end. Okay, very cool. So this is where MV2 is again very, very powerful. I love using this, man. So, okay, so some of the notes that you can hear, maybe the lower notes are not coming out as much. So MV2 is great because it can bring out all the lower level detail. All right, so let's solo this. Let's bring up, let's see. A bit of that honkiness there. There we go. So you see the note, right? Da, 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 da. The top note is fine. It's always those lower notes which are a little bit soft. So MV2 has brought up those lower notes, but it has not touched the transient. You see, if you use a normal compressor, it'll turn down the transient of the top note of the whatever is the louder note to even out, so it's not really gonna give the same effect lah. This is so much better, it's so much transparent, right? So MV2 is great. Okay. Very cool, very nice. Okay, so we have this next thing. It's a swell guitar. Awesome. It's got like a vibrato and then a volume swell thing going on. Very nice. Although I may want to maybe just give it a little bit more color. Let's use Baby Audio's magic switch. This is actually a chorus, so let's add a bit of it. Let's bring this in and see. And maybe a bit more delay on this. Let's put in a bit of delay, okay? Just to give it again more tail, make it a little bit more wet, more mysterious sounding. Let's just use a stock delay. Let's just use a stock mono delay here. Let's sync it with the tempo quarter note. Let's check it out. Okay, let's go with, let's say, dotted. Let's go with. Just to give it a bit more sustain lah. And you know what would be interesting? Let's duplicate this. Let's see how it sounds. Alright, let's see how this sounds. And let's pitch this guy up an octave. Let's see how this sounds. I think it adds a bit more dimension. It's like an octave above. Let's try it. Let's try it and see. Hey, let's go even crazier. Let's go 2 octaves up. Let's see. Yeah, it's almost like a kind of a shimmer, kind of a reverb. And in this one, let's go with even more modulation. Let's max it out. Maybe it just gives a little bit more interesting color to it lah. Alright. Okay, well, let's see how it goes. All right, let's bring in the BVs right now. Okay, let's skip some of this. Right, let's bring in the BVs. Okay, so BV here, as I mentioned earlier, okay, I also use the same thing. right? The same using the FGS with the parallel. So let's just blend this guy in. BV is a lot more simpler, not so complex. Let's just solo the BV. Take out the bottom end. Don't need too much of the top end. Listening to also about 3.8. This, I mean, if it's the same singer, same male singer, there's usually always the same thing lah. Who did the BVs? Was it a Bert on the BVs also, or did any of you guys record the BVs? Huh? Okay. Okay, now with the BVs, let's add a little bit of processing. Okay, BVs would usually be on a stereo delay. Okay, let me check it out. Let's solo this BVs again. A little bit of FG2A here. Send it out to the reverb also, don't forget. Okay, here we go. One more. Okay, right. So I think this delay guitar for me, it feels like it's still a bit too dark. A bit too dark, so let's just add a bit of FGA to it. There we go. Right, so let's move on. The tremolo drive. Right, there's this little thing here. Very cool, right? It's like a kind of a, not really a tremolo. It's like a sample and whole filter. Let's play around with it. Okay. Right, here we go. Okay, same thing. Let's bring in MV2. Okay, great tool. It's a very, very good tool for all these kind of things, right? It's going to emphasize all that the warliness and all the tremolo-ish sounding sounds. Okay. See where this goes. Let's put this. Switch back to the main. Switch back to the smaller NS10s, I mean. Nice. So second verse, right? We have the same electric guitars again. Nice. Okay, let's go now into the solo. All right, let's bring in the distortion guitars. Let's load this up. Right, same thing, okay? The tape and the console emulation. Okay, don't need too much, just a bit of high pass. I'll bring in the solo later, okay? Let's just see how the distortion fits in first. Okay, going into the modulation to the last chorus. Okay, let's turn this down because this one's a little loud in terms of gain structure. About 4 dB, yeah. Okay, let's put in this guitar. Now these were actually from different tracks, right? But I just, consolidated them together. I just brought these two just to make it easier in terms of the mixing workflow, okay? Right. Okay. Nice, okay, right, so let's bring this one. This will probably need to adjust. There we go. Let's bring in the other two BVs first, the high backing vocals. Right, solo. Okay, let's take out a bit of 1.8 around there. Yeah, okay, just a little bit. Okay, copy the setting over. Okay, let's balance in the high BBs. We need to level up. Hang on a second. Okay, this is maybe where Vocal Rider may be helpful. So let's bring in Vocal Rider again. So you can even use Vocal Rider on a stereo group, man. So let's check it out.
Numbalanku dapat lembut, sentop suang ditigin.
Because some notes you see are a little bit softer, so it helps to ride it up. It's almost like cheating, man. It's like having somebody do the automation for you. Because otherwise, usually, if you really wanted to dial this in, have to automate every single word so that the harmony is clear. Okay, cool. Maybe the low needs to be brought down just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit more. Very nice. Okay, let's move on. Let's go with the solo. Hey, let's not forget the solo. Let's bring in the solo. In fact, let's jump straight to the solo first. Okay, let's bring in the 4K. Okay, good. It's got all the delay inside. Let's take out all the bottom, man. We don't need all the bottom. Here we go, solo. right, cool. So the solos, what I like to treat the solos is I like to send it to a group. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm sending the solo to this group, and I like to use this guy here. This is called Multiply by Acon Digital. Acon Digital. Again, the links are all down in the description. These are, if I'm not mistaken, these are also free. You know, so a lot of plugins which I put it down in the description, right in the video description, are mostly free, so you can check it out. So this is actually like a chorus. It does several things, right? Chorus, like a doubler. It as you can see, stereo enhancement, a little bit of that. But what I like to do is I have this particular preset just to give a bit of dimension to the solos. So it's like a chorus, but I just blend it a little bit softer, less. So a bit of that, the low end chuck there. Let's see. A little bit is fine. So what can we do with it? TDR Nova, right? Again, so this will only act when that particular boom gets a bit too loud, and other times it's not going to touch it, right? So that's the beauty of having this sort of dynamic EQ. Okay, so let's bring it. There you go. Right, so only when it, see, when it gets to the higher notes, the EQ doesn't touch it anymore, right? Okay, a little bit of harshness here. At about 5K, a little bit. That's okay. Let's apply the same preset over to the harmonized guitar. June, nice. Okay, here is where we. Okay, all right. Here's where we do a little bit of automation to the solo. Okay. So during here, it should be left. Okay, pan it to the bit of the right and about 4 dB lower. Back to the center. So when it gets to the chorus, center and back up in volume. Okay, back up. Put the harmony out. Have this feedback, this nice little feedback thing going on. Let's have this feedback kind of swell a little bit instead of that. Let's have it swell. I think it's more interesting. Let's have this chop off exactly at the one, right? Instead of a fade out, let's give it a direct. Okay, give it a abrupt chop, more dramatic that way. So this fade in, right? It gives space for the high harmony to play its note, right? Okay, then let's add this reverse guitar. Cool effects, guys, right? Awesome. Now, this one could use with a little bit of reverb to it. Nice, okay? Okay, let's automate the solo again, right? So back down to maybe 4 dB. And also a little bit to the right, okay? Back to what I had originally. So slightly to the right. Just about 25. A little bit more to go, man. There we go. Alright, okay, so it's a little bit of automation here, right? Okay, I think I know what we need to do now. So this line guitar, because when I have the solo pen to the right, this line guitar on the right also, they're fighting with each other. So this line guitar needs to go to the left, okay? Let's put this to the left. There we go. Yeah, there's more space for them. There we go, yeah. Okay, let me set this back up, yeah? So this needs to go back to 0. Okay. And again, more automations needed, right? Okay, here, let's bring this solo horn back to here. Because here the panning is being done in a group, you see? So let's keep it a solo in the middle. Up by 1 dB overall. Again, these are all the broad, rough adjustments first lah. Maybe 1.5 dB. Alright. Well, when I do all the fine-tuned detail work with the vocals and everything, then only I'll go back lah. Again, I don't show this on the live stream because it takes way too long, and usually I need to take a little bit of an ear break after this, you see? Especially when you're mixing for like 2-3 hours straight already. We're going 12 midnight, man. Good morning, guys. It is really 12. Thanks again for sticking around for so long. Let's check this solo. Right, okay, I think here when you go to yeah, let's pan this guy. So all these guitar parts have your spaces. Okay, let's bring this guy down. Awesome. Okay, cool. Almost there. Let's go back to the intro, right? Let's start with the acoustic intro first. Okay, right. So, right. It sounds like a piezo. Okay, right. So MV2 is really useful as well. I've used MV2 so much, right, in this project, and I use it a lot, man. It's very useful also when you deal with this kind of solo lines, because again, it brings out all the detail of all the notes, the picking, the sustain, but it doesn't affect the peaks and the transients lah. So that's good. Okay. And then plucking things, that's the one, that's very hard dynamic wise to control. So let's check it out. A little bit of high level compression just to bring down the peak. So sustain, you see the sustain is so much better. So much better. Let's bypass and see. See, some of the notes disappear, and then the loud notes is too loud. It jumps out too much. Especially the low notes, do 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 do. It's not clear, you see. So with MV2, it brings out all that detail. Let's send it to the same reverb as the drums, just to give it a bit more space. Check. See, nice long sustain to that note as well, see? Compressor can also do it, but it changes the character too much. MV2 really helps to preserve lah. So this one will be the overdriven sound. Okay, again, doesn't need much actually. Okay, so should we pan this? Okay, let's pan this a little bit lah, right? So usually, once the mix is done, you know, for those who are watching this later, who may not be familiar with the process, once I finish this mix, right, there is always usually the continued process where we will do tweaks and adjustments. Once I'm done with the mix, I let the client, I let the artist, I let the band listen to it, and they will come back to me. They'll take it back. They'll listen for a couple of days, right, over speakers or systems that they're familiar with. Then they'll come back to me, and if it's all good, it's great. Hey, all good, no changes, good to go. Then we'll proceed, and then we'll prepare the master files. But very often, right, it's perfectly normal, right. They will have some tweaks, some notes. So this is perfectly. It's part of the process. Again, it's all teamwork. We all work together as a team. And we all want the best, right? want the best possible outcome and the success for the song, for the track. So right, we may come back and forth, and then I get notes from the clients, from the producer or the band, and then we say that, hey, we let's tweak this, can we change this, change that, and no problem. We come back. With digital nowadays, everything is recallable, fully recallable. We can save it, and then we just need to just make some tweaks lah, right? So let's start by just panning these two lead lines to slightly to the left and the right. Sometimes it can be a bit of a gimmick, so we'll try and see lah, okay? Right, let's leave it. I'm inclined to just leave it mono, but let's just for fun, let's just pan it left and right first, okay? So sometimes, there's so much of an obsession on getting everything super wide. Sometimes the most solid, the most defined sound you can get is something that is solid mono, That's actually, you can get the most defined sound that way, right? So we got a little bit of this electric clean strum going on. Not much needs to be done, man, to this. Just a little bit of FG2 just to level it a bit. Again, 1 dB of gain reduction, that's all it needs. A little touch of reverb. And where shall we send this guy? Yeah, the clean guitar is just to fill in a little space, okay? And there we go. And where are we left with? We are left with strings. Okay, cool. I also ran these strings to some of my sample libraries using my Philharmonic sample library. So let's check it out. So these strings here pretty much play a role as pads in the first verse. So let's listen to it. So I have a particular setting that I have preset that I already have for strings. Let me just make sure I change this to 4000 for kg. Now the only thing different is that I have the Wave C4 again, and multi-band compressor again is super useful, very versatile. This is a setting called upward compression. It's a preset called upward compression plus 5 dB. Basically what this is doing is that it's again doing a little bit of expansion lah, right, to it. It's to bring out again all the low level details. This one is a little bit more subtle than MV2, I would say, and also it gives me more flexibility because multi-band compressor, you can split into the different frequency bands, you see. So let's just check it out. All right, it works really perfectly straight away. Now I'm going to pass some of this. At about 960, there's something that pokes out a bit. Okay, let's jump over to the back portion, last chorus. Okay, with strings, very common to take out 3K, 4K. Again, this is to give space for the vocal, right? Let's listen to this. Okay, alright, now for the string group. I also have a little preset here going on. Almost there, man. Let's just blend in the strings and then we're good to go. So in this string group, I have an instance of the Ep.28. Let's just turn it on first. But I also have a separate reverb here. So with the string reverb, I need something that's a little bit more with a longer reverb time. So that's why on the string group, right, it has its own reverb inserted into the group channel. So all whatever string tracks are all going into the group, and all this group has this particular reverb here. So let's turn this reverb on. Okay, input filter, let's make sure we don't have too much of the bottom end. So let's set it at about 125 hertz. The mix, let's set it, just turn it slightly down, maybe 30-40%. There we go. Here we go. Yeah, just to give it a bit of lushness. See, it's serving more as a mostly as a pad lah. So cool thing, right? When it gets to the chorus, there is also this string staccato part. Okay, right? I had to use a different patch. This is a staccato patch for this, right? So let's check it out. So this one just to give a bit of definition and attack to the note, right? Here we go. Now on its own it sounds a bit weird, but it's meant to blend underneath just to give that dun 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 a little bit more attack. Let's fast forward. Okay, right, we need to automate this a little bit. Right, just automate it a little bit. Okay, here we go. Let's bring this down to about 8 dB, right? Minus 8. Let's have this. Let's have a little bit of this, little bit of a curve here. Yeah, let's have a little bit of fade out there. Let's bring it back up. So you see back on the second verse, it functions again back as the pad. Back to this when it gets to the solo. Okay, just a bit more excitement on the strings. When it gets here. Here we go. Okay. Okay, roughly, yeah, these are all just rough movements first, okay? Just to roughly get the level, huh? Okay, wait, we need to bring that down. Back up. 3, 4. Okay, might need to take out a little bit more at the bottom. Right, bring the vocal up by about a dB because now you see with a lot more stuff going on, right? You see it's going on there already. So there's going to be a lot of automation needs to work around with the strings. This is just the rough ones first, okay? Okay, this goes back down again, this way. Because you see where the function is, right? When it goes back to functioning as a pad, here, just bring it down. Right, okay, so check it out. Down. Okay, because there's a lot of stuff going on. You see, you got the guitars going on the left, you got guitars going on the right, you have the strings going on as well. So it's gonna be fun, man, when I do all the automation. There we go. Okay. This might need to go down maybe about -5. Sweet, yeah. Last thing, I almost forgot about this organ, man. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just quickly blend this organ in. There we go. Very interesting. So give it a bit of space with reverb. Alright, let's put it on the left. In the room. Right, okay, so it needs to be automated down. Okay, in this case, I might even bring the strings down a little bit more here actually. You know, thinking about that because I'd rather let the organ take the pad roll here. 1, 2, bring the strings down. Okay, hang on. Did I? Oh, I need to write the automation to it. Hang on now. Okay, so it goes down. Right, okay, so there we go. So okay, alright, so it comes back up here. Okay, let's quickly dial it in. It's getting late. I know it's like 12:30 already. Awesome, right? Oh, but you guys have not, you know, some of the really epic ones. The episode that I have took almost 6 hours. I think 4+ hours because there was one project which had like 130 tracks that I had to mix, man. So here we go. Right, very cool. I think what I need to do is, yes, we can also fine tune it here. Yeah, because here I would rather let the organ be the one that holds the pad. Let's give it a bit of brightness. Then when it kicks back in, yeah, all right, really nice. Okay. You know, it's got that organ mellotron kind of a like a, you know, like the whiter shade of pale kind of a vibe to it. It's really nice, man. Okay, right. So cool, right? What else has been going on in the? There's a lot of stuff holding on in the chat going on. Okay, say right. Great guitar work, power teamwork. Okay, good solid snares. Sample. All right. Hi, Shizumaru official. Hey, thanks for joining in, man. All right, here we go. Okay, yeah. Shizumaru. I've seen you. You're on KMR, right? Awesome, man. Yeah. And your question about the snare samples, yes, these are programmed drums, okay? Right, as these are all Steven Slate Digital SSD5 drums. And right, Deco Sly was saying, good morning, Mr. JD. Never heard of MV2. MV2, okay, Shizumaru also said never heard of MV2. MV2 is from Waves. MV is short for actually max volume, right? Sounds like a compressor. It's more than that. It does several things in one, right? You have the compressor as usual. Let me quickly go back to that. Okay, where is my MV2? Okay, right. So let me just a quick recap. So it's got Waves calls it high level, low level to differentiate between the two. High level is compression the way that we know it traditionally. Okay. When an audio exceeds a threshold, right, it will apply gain reduction to the signal. That is compression as we know it traditionally, lah. But what it also has is it also has this one. It's called low level compression. So low level compression, now we don't really know what exactly happens under the hood of this plugin because you can't see it. There's only these controls. You can't play with ratio. There's nothing that you can tweak with. But what this is doing, it's doing a combination of expansion, parallel compression, right? And it's a combination of the two. So it's actually solving a lot of combining several things that usually we will need a much more complicated signal path. You know, that means we need to do a little bit of a parallel here and there. And just simplifies the entire process into this one plugin, MV2, okay? So it's an awesome plugin that you need to get. And of course, this output is just to compensate for volume, right? Because whenever you apply any of these things, the gain reduction, it makes it a little bit louder. So you like to have equal volume monitoring comparison, they have this output level. Basically, that's what MV2 is, man. Hopefully that answers your question, okay? And folks, right, it's coming up to 12:30 already, and pretty much, right, this is pretty much it for the very first draft, right, mix of the song Numbulanku by Engelbert, okay? So at this point in time, usually I would say I'm about maybe 75%, 80% of the way. As I explained, there's a lot of stuff needs to be done, okay? You know, automation with the vocal, I'll be going down one by one every single syllable sometimes, right, to automate all this kind of stuff. As I mentioned earlier, right, I need to deal with some of the transients as well with the in the vocal. The strings also is going to need a lot of automation work here and there, some of the solo parts as well. And all this stuff, unfortunately, I can't really show, right, in the context of a live stream, because it's going to take too long. It's going to, there's a lot of trial and error. And then you're right, it's gonna be super boring lah. We'll be here until 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, so at this stage, this is I'm pretty happy with it. I'll sit on this mix for a couple of hours. Either I'll rest for an hour or two and then come back and work on it, or maybe I'll come back again maybe in the morning the following day to work on it. So maybe a few more things I want to show you, a couple more tips and tricks, right? Two more things I want to show you actually. All right, so let's start by just adding a little bit more things here. Now for a little bit of flavor, I have been using I've been adding this, right? This is the, let me look for it, this is the SPL Iron. This is a mashing processor. But one of the awesome things that this does is that it doesn't only behave in the traditional stereo left-right. It also has an MS mode, okay? So this is where things really, right, get really juicy. So, right, I actually set this to an MS mode, right, for mix bus setting. And this is, again, super subtle, right? It is barely touching the gain reduction, right? But what I need to do is let me take out all this, the output, the compensation first, right, to compensate. So as you can see, this is MS, right? Okay, I can take it down to MS mode. So, right, so if this is in normal stereo, channel 1, channel 2, that's a left and right. MS mode treats it as mid-side, middle. MS stands for mid-side, okay? So it's got some other cool features. It's got this setting here where you can have an air bass. Air bass basically means, right, it's a smiley kind of a curve EQ, which can be useful but can be dangerous. You might overdo it. It's got a normal bypass, which is flat, but it's also got a tape roll off, right? So again, if you want to give it a little bit of that kind of a tape roll off warmth to it, right, you can set it away. But let's set it at bypass. This is very subtle. This what Iron does is that it just sort of gives extra separation because it's processing in MS, makes the mix a little bit wider, slightly bigger. That's it. Just some magic to it lah. Okay. Alright, so that's what I add to the stereo bus. And one more thing, alright, I've been using recently, right? Not recently lah. This is like probably about maybe coming up to 2 years already. There is an instance of API 560. This is just something which I picked up from a mastering engineer friend of mine. Just inserting this into the signal path, right? And it just does some. What it does is actually it solidifies the center a little bit, right? Because that's very important, man. That's where your kick, your snare, your bass, your vocal lives there. It makes that the center a little bit solid. There is a slight volume boost gain, but it's a little bit subtle. It's about 1 dB is not subtle. Okay, 1 dB is quite a lot, right? But yeah, I usually only add it at the very end just to spice things up. Last thing I want to show you. Okay, now I talk about dynamics all the time. We always want to preserve, we always want to introduce dynamics in the mix. And one of the ways that you can do it, and a great trick that you can do, is just to simply play with your master, which is your stereo bus automation. Okay? And this again goes back towards the psychoacoustic trick. Our ears, our brains always believe that something sounds better when it's louder. So we're going to take advantage, right, of this and fool our ears into thinking that something's getting more exciting and louder, okay? Right, so this is what I'm going to do. We are going to automate and bump up the master fader, the master volume on this master stereo bus by 1 dB, okay, when it kicks into the chorus. So super simple. Let's set it into right automation. And okay, going into the chorus. Ready? 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it, okay? It's just one bar going up. And voila, okay? So when it kicks in the chorus, everything is 1 dB louder. It feels more exciting. It feels a little bit more, there's a little bit more energy and everything. But we're not changing the balance on the mix. That's all, okay? So I would say 1 dB is kind of the nice sweet spot of doing this. You do a little bit more. When you get to 1.5, 2 dB, it sounds too obvious that somebody turned the volume up, right? It sounds a bit too obvious. This is subtle enough that, as a listener, if he or she, right, you will feel like, oh, suddenly everything got a little bit more exciting, okay? So same thing. So when he gets out of the chorus, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's have instead of here, okay, because there's an extra bar here. So this one will be a slightly shorter fade down, right? Just go over 2 beats. Alright, so we're gonna, guess what? No surprises here. We're gonna do the same thing when we kick into the final chorus. Here we go. Okay, the very last chorus here, when we have this little tom fill. So up 1 dB. That's it. Okay, right. I feel like I want to pull in these BVs a little bit to the center lah. Not too wide, It's more of a pop rock feel anyway, right? You don't need everything to be super, super wide. It gives a bit more space towards the guitars and the strings anyway to have them at the right. I'd rather have the vocals be a little bit centered. It feels like the high BVs is way too separated that way. Okay? And that's it, yeah. So that's just another trick which you can easily, instantly apply to whenever you mix lah. Right, just a small little trick. Just bump up the volume of your master or your stereo fader by just 1 dB every time you enter the chorus. And of course, alright, we'll just leave it all the way to the end until the end of the song. Sweet, great, folks. You have been an awesome audience, man. Thank you so much. Alright, so we're gonna wrap it up right now. Okay, thank you so much for sticking around on this Friday. Hope you all are doing well, staying safe and healthy. I know, sadly, okay, we're in Malaysia. We are still under MCO, under this kind of lockdown. Things suck, and it's really bad for the music industry and musicians in general. But hey, hang in there, okay? All right. I wish all of you the best of health, the best of everything. All right, take care of your own physical and also your mental health out there. Right, hit it up. Check out your friends. Okay, right. Keep in touch with your friends out there, especially those who may be under a lot of mental, emotional, or physical stress at the moment. Just give them a call, talk to them. Right, we'll love engaging and talking with you as well. Okay, right. So we're gonna listen one last final through. This is what I would consider the first draft, the mix for Numbulanku. This is going to be the debut single from Engelbert, okay? And it's an awesome work, right, by the TS Music team, right? Sylvester and everyone else, okay, who was involved in the production of this song. Stay tuned. Follow them. Link. I'm gonna put more details and all of them in the description down below. Follow them for details when the single is out. I'm sure, right? They will share it out and let everyone know lah. In the meantime, once again, if you're watching this, maybe now, if you're watching the live stream, or maybe later when this replays, if you enjoyed it, please do leave a like. Do share it with your friends, whoever who is interested, right, in this sort of this funny little thing we do, which is called recording and producing and mixing. And if you have not subscribed, please become a subscriber. And if you want to support the channel financially, right, sign up, become a patron, okay? Remember, if you sign up, right, and you include and you just drop a message with the code MixStream28, 50% of the revenue is going to go to the featured artists, okay? Right, so right, sign up, right, consider, check it out, right, www.patreon.com/studio2105. Lots of perks for as low as $1 a month, right, ranging all the way to like $10 a month for the VIP lah, okay? Right, so do check it out. So folks, I'm going to present to you, right, Numbulanku by Engelbert. Stay safe, stay happy, healthy, happy recording and mixing, man. Good night, folks. Take care. Right, okay, so, right, TS Music says thank you, Zechariah, to Deco, Shizumaru, Lister, right, Jude, thanks all for tuning in, man, okay? Solo! See, the solo part needs a bit of automation. You have the strings probably need to come down and the solo needs to come up a bit. Yeah, vocals definitely need to come up a little bit more front. This is where the automation will come into place here. All right, see you folks. Okay, good night. Take care of yourselves. See you all again in another video real soon.